Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Hockey fans, are you ready to brave the wild with me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan? Brave the Wild is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, PodMN, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible from Amazon, Stitcher, and Double Twist. Thank you once again for joining me today, as right here and right now, it is the granddaddy of them all annually, State of the Wild 2021. Great to be on board back with you today. It's going to be, well, I'm going to fess up with you really quick right now. I had already recorded segment number 1, and it was probably too long, so maybe this is a blessing, but I was halfway through segment number 2. Days later, I had saved everything. Everything was fine, and the hard drive went bad, basically. At least that's what appears what happened, particularly for that file, and everything's gone. And then the computer completely crashed. Like, I cannot restart it. So I have a brand new laptop, nice, beautiful, new Lenovo laptop. I had HP before, both good brands. I have nothing against either one. So it is what it is, starting all over again. And I have an SSD drive. Before, it was the old-fashioned disk drive style. I got to think this is going to be an improvement, and it sure seems to be so far. So just letting you know ahead of time, I'm sure you're fascinated with this story. But I had literally half of the show completed, if not more than half. So I was just a little bit irate, a little bit pissed off. So hopefully I can condense this first segment a little better than I did the first time around. Sometimes I just get too excited to talk, and I just keep going. So, and I'm not going to go over every single thing as much as I did, but I went a little bit too much into just blah, 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 almost game by game-ish during the course of the season, which I think is a little too far. So that's kind of the whole deal there. Looks like it's functioning nicely. Thank you, Lord. First segment is the season wrap-up. Yes, I'm still going to do it. I'm just going to do it in a more condensed fashion if I can. Segment number 2, we'll be looking at the draft, which I have at least 5 players that I really like around the 2 picks. At least 5. Maybe I'll add another one. Of course, look at free agency and more or less what the Wild would do after moving certain players away, or what players they'd move. You could probably guess at least one $6 million contract coming off the books in a trade somehow, some way. You can probably guess who that is. Okay, it's Dumba. Possibly in a trade, but really anything could happen. And I had an off the mic conversation with Derek Felska multiple times during the course of the last few days. Of course, also he knows about the crash of the computer, and he could tell how upset I was. But yeah, he's talking about the possibility of we could be in big trouble here a little bit with Kaprizov if he wants only 3 years. But that's kind of how that goes. We'll get to that in segment number 2. Segment number 3 will be Fan Interaction, which will be very, very good. Could be looking at a lightning round return of Tom Hayen. How cool is that? Once again, gotta love Tom Hayen and the others that post as well. So let's get into the season wrap-up now before it's a 2-hour show already in the first segment. Oh boy. Well, the Wild opened up the season with the Los Angeles Kings, and they won 4-3 twice. That was great. We got to see Kirill the Thrill be for real, according to Anthony LaPantha. He started things out fantastically. Great passing skills, this and that, and of course had the game-winning goal off his skate. But it works. It works. If it's a soccer goal or whatever it is, it works. Same thing with guys like Joel Eriksson Ek during the course of the season. But, it wasn't the sharpest game, wasn't the greatest game, but LA was a little better than a lot of people thought, I think. As funny as that sounds. They only won it with 49 points because they kind of tailspin during the course of the season in the later stages. But for a while there, they were kind of competitive a little bit. It wasn't bad, and they gave us a little bit of a hard time. But the Wild were able to win the first 2 games, and Kirill the Thrill played pretty well in both of them. Then the Wild again stay in the Los Angeles area. We had our first loss of the year, 1-0. Meh. Blah, blah, blah. defeat to the Anaheim Mighty Clucks. Yep, John Gibson, the former actor. No, I'm just kidding. Well, John Gibson shut out the Wild. Then the Wild beat them 3-2 the next game. San Jose Sharks a 4-1 crushing on the 22nd. And then we lose a couple in a row to the Sharks and the Los Angeles Kings. There were situations like that. But the Wild ultimately finished the month of January reasonably well. We got, 6 wins and 4 losses. So nothing too spectacular, nothing too great. But at least we're kind of on the right track. We're kind of doing okay. Kind of a fringe playoff team, this and that. And then reality sets in with Colorado. And it sets in again right after Colorado. 2-1 loss on February the 2nd. Groundhog Day, I believe, which whatever, it doesn't matter. I think we had a pretty early spring this year, which is nice. COVID kicked in and all that, and regardless of how you feel, how scared we should all be about it, it's a real virus, but, are people overreacting? I guess that's for you to decide. And, yep, the Wild had 6 games postponed, unfortunately, against Colorado, Arizona, St. Louis, and Los Angeles Kings. Wild come back, and again, further proof of how it works. Sometimes when you come after a long layoff, well, it's one thing you don't score, but you give up 4 goals as well. Goaltenders just don't do well when they're on long layoffs. And that's why I didn't like that Kaapo Kähkönen later in the season was just kind of sitting there. And we were kind of overdoing it a little bit with Cam Talbot. Did it hurt him in the playoffs? No. Luckily, no. But eventually it could. Because that's what happens with some of the older guys. It's just amazing because he's not old, but he's older, getting up there. He's in his 30s, him being Cam Talbot. And, of course, you want to keep Kaapo Kähkönen in the net more often than not, I got to think. Even though he wasn't spectacular. But, again, he lost his niche a bit. He kind of lost his mojo being stuck on the bench so long. So, it's kind of frustrating. Playing goalies in back-to-backs doesn't make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion, but that's how it goes. The Wild would then win the last 6 games of February. Pretty cool. Against Anaheim twice, San Jose 6-2. Awesome win there. 6-2 win over the Colorado Avalanche, but of course this was not with with Grubauer in there. Not that Grubauer was that spectacular in the postseason. He just got beat. Philip Grubauer. I almost called him Jonathan. It's Philip Grubauer. I don't know what's wrong with me. Wild only put up 24 shots. Really beat up on Grubauer. It was pretty cool. And Kähkönen, who was just awesome on the road for the longest time, especially during his 9-game win streak, which is second all-time to Double D, Devan Dubnyk, back in that great 2015 season, 14-15 season, when he debuted with the Wild. Oh, I hate when this does this. But that was a cool moment later in the month to see Mr. Double D, Devan Dubnyk, to see Kaapo Kähkönen look like Devan Dubnyk, I guess, in the great moments. This thing doesn't want to do the right thing right now. That's okay. Yeah, it's not the computer, it's freaking the schedule. I don't know why. This happened last time when I was doing the first segment. But at least the Wild started playing significantly better after that. Kirill Kaprizov kept getting better and better. Guys like Jules Arsenault, you just noticed what a difference they were making. It was so cool. As we'll kind of get back to what they're doing as well. Real quick, too, before I continue into March, is JT Brown officially has retired from the National Hockey League, and he will be the color commentator for the Seattle Kraken. Congratulations, JT Brown, former Wild, and, of course, Minnesota and Iowa Wild player, kind of an off-and-on career. And it's a bit of a standout with Minnesota Duluth, but didn't have that great of an NHL career. It's nothing against him. There's plenty of guys that ended up being more of role players and ended up being fantastic commentators. Guys like Rupp and such out there. He actually played for the Wild for a season, if I remember correctly, and yes, he did. Definitely a standout player for a team that got to the national championship back in 2011. Pretty cool for JT Brown. Good job and good luck in Seattle at the end of the day. But it was cool during the course of the season, and again, it just shows more and more the wisdom of Bill Guerin and the guys around him, saying that, hey, we got to clear space. As much as nice as it is to have veterans that are still good, like Eric Stahl, and congratulations to him. He's in the Cup final at the moment that I'm recording segment number 1. Montreal Canadiens in the Cup final versus Tampa. Okay. Yeah, Tampa's believable. Montreal, well, we'll see. Maybe they're the LA Kings of this year, and they have a great goalie, just like the Kings did when they won their 2 championships, especially the 2012 one when they surprised the world. 2014, they were pretty good. Back to where I need to be. Eric Stahl, again, congratulations, though, buddy. That's what got me sidetracked. still a solid player. Obviously, was Eric Stahl, so of course he's a loss, especially in a center position. That's just you saw the games. We don't have centers really. We kind of do, and we have at least one legitimate, for sure, decent one in Joel Eriksson Ek now, and again clearing room on the roster so he could move up. Really made a benefit for Joel Eriksson Ek, where he was a bit closer to that point-a-game guy he is in the AHL. Every time Joel Eriksson Ek got sent to the AHL, he was a point-a-game player, and that was freaking cool to watch. Jordan Greenway stepped up as well, 32 points in 56 games, with only 6 of them goals, but definitely wonderful playmaking skills. Trivia question, who actually led the Minnesota Wild in assists this year? Anyone? No, it wasn't Joel Eriksson Ek. He only had 11. No. Yeah. Nope. It wasn't Zuccarello. He probably would have if he played the whole season, but Jordan Greenway led the Wild in assists with 26. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. Obviously, he has his off and on moments, and in the postseason, it was like, there were moments where you were like, are you kidding me? There are other moments where you saw the physicality, where he asserts himself. You saw signs that he was asserting himself this season much more than he had in the past. But generally speaking, Jordan Greenway still, there's still a little bit of that, okay, woohoo, side to him. That's kind of frustrating. Joel Eriksson Ek, though, definitely looks like a 20-goal scorer, 20 to 25 goals a game in the future. Got to get the assists up. But I kind of get it. Obviously, centers are a little different, and we'll talk about that in segment number 2 nowadays, where they're not just looking to pass all the time. It's not like the old days. Now they're looking to score, too, kind of attacking the net and such. It's just a different game than it was. And Joel Eriksson Ek kind of plays that game, and it's pretty nice. I got to think he's going to be one of those guys Bill Guerin's going to do what he can to sign in the offseason, unless he asks for way the heck too much. I got to hope for something like $4 to $5 million a year. It's not going to be cheap, but it's not going to break the bank either. Kirill Kaprizov, well, it is what it is. Kevin Fiala, well, it is what it is. We got to sign them, and it's not going to be easy. Fiala might get a nice long-term deal, but there's a 50% chance, according to Michael Russo, that he's on his way out. But again, after kind of a slow start, it seemed like things just weren't going for Fiala. He started really picking it up, early to midway point of the year, and kind of kept going most of the season. It wound up with 40 points, 20 goals, 20 assists. I got to think he's 80-point level. 100 points is probably crazy. I was talking about that before, but I guess it depends on who's around him, too. Not only him setting up players, but getting set up as well. Kevin Fiala. Kirill Kaprizov reminds me of Mark Stone in a lot of ways. He really does, with his passing skills that are elite, and the fact that he is, a tenacious player on the poke check as well. Back check and poke check, he can poke the puck away. He's aggressive in all assets. He could be a penalty killer. He's that good. Obviously, power play, no question about that. He wound up leading the Wild in goals with 27. 51 total points in only 55 games because of the COVID combined with a bit of a labor dispute during the course of the season. But really wonderful year for Mr. Kirill Kaprizov. Early on, only 3 games into the season, the Wild acquired Ian Cole for Mr. Greg Pattern, who actually had 2 assists in 3 games. Wrap your head around that. 2 assists in 3 games for Greg Pattern? That's like a career high almost. For a season. Yeah. You got to see guys like Nico Sturm improve during the course of the season. His skating ability is outstanding. Yes, it's outstanding. Yes, I'm playing with the Canadian accent. You got to see that. Marcus Johansson took a while to get going, but eventually he developed some chemistry with guys like Kevin Fiala especially. It was kind of cool to watch. And then, of course, magically they got mixed up again, and then Marcus Johansson got injured again, and I don't know. It was just kind of a meh year for Marcus Johansson. Odds of him coming off the books pretty high. We'll talk about that in segment 2. I keep jumping ahead, just like always. Jonas Berdin emerged really nicely with 9 goals. He's a guy who could definitely be on a power play unit, believe it or not. Even though you think of him as just a stay-at-home defenseman, he was neck and neck with Jared Spurgeon all season. Which Jared Spurgeon's an intangibles guy. That's why he's a good captain, even though he's not like a big rah guy necessarily. But he does a little bit of everything very well. Very well. He's not just okay at everything or kind of good at everything. He's actually very good at everything. He's got a good shot, good passing skills, really good, solid, intelligent defender and all that. But Jonas Berdin, neck and neck with Spurgeon in points the whole season. They would have each got over 30, maybe would have pushed 40 during the course of the year. Ryan Suter's numbers really, really dropped this season. He did play in every game, only 19 points, only 3 goals. during the course of the season. But again, still on the power play most of the time, obviously. But obviously minutes dropped a bit, which is good. Nick Bukestad was kind of what he was, kind of an in and out guy, but still actually pretty productive considering he only played in 44 games with injuries and scratches and such. 6 goals and 17 total points for him. But 11 goals for Nico Sturm, a guy that I really like. Unfortunately, he probably is at best a third line center, generally speaking, but so what? He's still very good, and he's the kind of guy that has a skating skill that could really, benefit this club for many years, because the biggest problem with this team, particularly at the center position, but pretty much everywhere, is the skating issue. It's just not been good, generally speaking. And Nico Sturm's emergence this year is very positive. Obviously, he's not a very he's a very, very young guy. Pardon me, I think I'm too far away from the mic here. I get a little too comfortable as I'm talking. Just generally speaking, Nico Sturm, he's not super young, but he still has time to develop and continue to get better. That's what I'm trying to get to. Obviously, extremely productive for Clarkson in the past. The Golden Knights, the team that knocked us out of the playoffs. Victor Rask, yes, he got a much bigger role, and it was too big, and there was frustration with that the whole damn season. That's what got people annoyed a bit at the end of the day. Still had 10 goals, 13 assists, 23 total points. He was okay in the face-off. He was in the number 1 power play unit most of the year, okay, which, okay, so he can win a face-off once in a while, but he wasn't that good at it. It was okay. I mean, he still had a losing face-off record. Nick Bodino had the best face-off record, 365 to 326. Joel Eriksson Ek lost more than 395 to 444. Lost, yep. Nobody was good at it. Nick Bukestad, 125, 145. Nico Sturm. Okay, ready? Nico Sturm, 69 to 65. Okay. Marcus Johansson, 32 to 53. Ooh, yeah, that's not good. Kirill Kaprizov, 3 wins and 21 losses. Luke Johnson, well, he played in 14 games and he had 44 wins and 43 losses. Well, he had an above 500 face-off record, but he scored 1 goal in 14 games, and that's it. And he was at +1, I believe. No, he was a -5. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 1 point in 14 games. So, yeah. See, that's obviously a position of need in a big way, and hopefully the Wild can address that one way or another. And again, hopefully Marco Rossi can become a good face-off guy as the Wild move forward. The winning streak that we had ended in a thud with Vegas. That's when we first started actually losing to Vegas, was in early March, and then we made up for it a week later. And of course, the Wild generally owned Arizona, but not all the time. Of course, the Cam Talbot had been out for a long time and came in to play against Arizona, and he gave up 4 goals. So, and it was pretty quick. It was kind of frustrating. It was against a team that had not played well against the Wild all year. So again, further proof that when a goalie's out for a long time, it's not beneficial. Obviously, if they're hurt, they're hurt. But if you're just sitting them, I don't think that's productive. I don't think it helps them. This isn't the day and age anymore of 66 starts for the number 1 guy. It should be like 50, 48, something like that. You got to have confidence in your backup goalie, especially when it's a guy like Kakinen, who I think is he's got a bright future in the National Hockey League. I'm not sure if he's a Vezina Trophy guy moving forward, but he's going to be a legend or anything. But he could be a very productive, very good, consistent, solid goaltender in the NHL. And of course, again, don't overplay him either. It's the same thing. Don't overplay him either. Just like in the AHL, maybe he got overplayed a little bit there. Same damn thing. Same damn thing. At the end of the day, Nick Bodino, productive season, 26 points. He's productive generally. He had a lot of time out there, though. Of course, he was in a lot of situations, especially every penalty kill, but pretty much every power play as well. That's why, again, his point production's high, because he was on the ice all the time, one way or another, regardless of the fact he's a little older and he's not that great. But I would not mind bringing him back in a Matt Cullen type role as we move forward, praying to God in heaven that at least Marco Rossi makes the Wild and is at least, in the second line, maybe third line role. He's not going to be a top line center. There's no way, unless he's just crazy good. But even still, he wouldn't be there for a while. It would take time to earn it. You have to be consistent to earn a number 1 center role at the end of the day. Guys like Ryan Hartman, obviously very solid. Matt Dumba, only 21 points in 51 games. Zach Breezy really, really dropped off. A lot of people believed that he was better than the credit he was getting. And he was like the ninth best forward, which, I kind of get that. But obviously better than Marcus Johansson, but that's not saying much. Marcus Johansson with certain players this year played well, was very good, obviously like Fiala and such, but generally speaking, he did not have a good year. Obviously neither one of them are worth the money they have now, Suter and Parisi, the money and the cap hit, and it's not going away forever. So that's another thing we have to deal with. Again, that's for segment number 2, so I apologize. Yet still, the season, generally speaking, 18 points, 45 games. Parisi got scratched a little bit. He got hurt a little bit. He had COVID. He had this, he had that. Suter, obviously, again, looked very intelligent, very solid. He had a really bad start to the year, but he kind of got rolling and improved during the course of the season. But he's not a candidate for either award, one way or another, either award or demerit during the course of this season. Cam Talbot, a bit up and down, of course, again, because of the injury. I think his goals against average could have been a little better. 2.63 is decent, but he did get 2 shutouts. Kakkonen also got 2 shutouts, 2.88 goals against average. Save percentage for Cam Talbot, 91.5, and Kakkonen just above 90, 90.2. But again, that's because of the horrible turn during the course of the season. And again, I'll say it a billion times, how things just kind of snowballed for him when, in a negative way, when he was not on the ice anymore. It was not between the pipes, is what I'm trying to say, very much later on during the course of the year. He should have been between the pipes a little bit more often, too. 5 more games, 3 more games, something that he had, I think. But that's just how it goes. It seems like a lot of coaches are stubborn that way. As good as Dean Evison is, occasionally he can get a little stubborn. But I guess that's coaches. Boudreau could be stubborn. Mike Yeo could be stubborn. Blah, blah, blah. And, of course, again, don't even get started on the locker room and all the weird behavior going on during the Mike Yeo and Bruce Boudreau era. And, of course, early on still, last year, with Dean Evison. Because, of course, there was a bunch of pieces still just not in place, per se, for the locker room to improve. It wasn't the worst locker room ever. They weren't a bunch of a-holes that hate each other and then, all ultra selfish, but there was a divide in the past. It just wasn't good. It wasn't a winner's atmosphere at the bottom line, and hopefully that can change as we move forward. Hopefully. I thought I had this up. I'm in the wrong place here, but, the Wild, generally speaking, played very well against Vegas this year, but we did see the first couple times that we did lose to them. That's just a fact. Where Arizona, the Wild owned them. Colorado, God, after a pretty awesome winning streak, came to a pretty good thud here. Nice. Well, it's a 5-game win streak, like 6 out of 7, so to speak, and then another win streak right after. And then, yeah, the Wild were pretty streaky the rest of the year. Let's just leave it at that. 11-1 little stretch on the 18th and 20th with Colorado. Who do you think had 11 and who had 1? Yeah, Colorado had the 11. Yeah. Yeah, those were not good days. Both goalies were, unfortunately, in net for those. Anaheim Ducks, the Wild sweep that little series in XL Energy Center. We win it. We finally play St. Louis for the first time on the 25th of March. And we win 2-0. That was a harbinger of how things would go between Minnesota and St. Louis the rest of the year, wasn't it? We're going to just kick St. Louis's ass. Kirill Kaprizov's 11th goal and this and that. St. Louis, we own them. Cam Talbot, he stopped 37 shots. We only got 11 shots in Bennington. We'll be fine. Only 11 shots. That's all we needed, because Bennington sucks. St. Louis is just kind of like, they'll be lucky to squeeze in the playoffs. And, Cam Talbot's the man and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, St. Louis kicked our ass the rest of the year. I think we won 1 or 2 more games, if I remember correctly. But it wasn't the happiest of times, was it? Ooh, it wasn't against St. Louis. They really took it to us, didn't they? The Wild then got swept by the Sharks in San Jose. We got shark bit or something like that. We just got beat badly by the Sharks. We always play them in March at some point. Sweep Vegas again in Vegas. Impressive. 3-2, 2-1. Making us feel real good. Yeah, we want to play Vegas in the postseason. Well, either one would have been very tough. 5-4 loss to Colorado. 8-3 win over Colorado. We're feeling so good about ourselves on April the 7th. We're so happy about it. We head into St. Louis, and it's a 9-1 demolition. 9-1 LOSS. to a team that was one game above 500 at the time because they were struggling around with Arizona. And they scored 9 goals against the Wild. And they were all against Capo Kakinen because we didn't want to mess around at that stage. It is what it is, you know. Sorry, Capo. That's one of the reasons why his goals against average went up. Mustered only 25 shots against Jordan Binnington. That's not too bad. I guess it's better than 11. We only managed 1 goal. And, yeah, that was the low light of the whole damn season other than losing Game 7 6-2. But, you know, it happens, unfortunately. 3-2 loss the next day. We played way better and still lost. Postponed again. There was another postponed game again. That was interesting. And then, we win 6 games in a row again. Talk about streaky. It's just crazy. But it was Arizona, San Jose, and the Los Angeles Kings. So they weren't the best teams ever. 2 losses in a row to wrap up the month of April. God. And we actually beat St. Louis again. Hallelujah. That was freaking cool on May Day. And we celebrate Cinco de Mayo with a loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. But on the 3rd, an epic Game 7-like performance, I thought. I thought this was going to be Game 7. Maybe it might as well have been Game 6. 6-5 victory. Minnesota versus Vegas. A back and forth, beautiful battle. Kind of reminded me of Colorado, Minnesota 2014. Not 2003. That was, I guess it'd be similar, but it was 2014. Higher scoring and such. And the Wild ended up coming out okay. That was an awesome game. It was probably the most awesome game of the whole season to watch. Most entertaining, especially if you don't mind the fact that there are too many goals are scored in the game. Made the goalies look kind of bad, but the teams were just both primed and ready to go. You could just taste playoff atmosphere between Minnesota and Vegas in that game. And it had been developing in other games during the course of the season. You could just tell these two teams were bound to be in the postseason. And I'm glad it happened. It sucks that we lost, but I'm glad it happened because now we know. Now we know what it's like to play Vegas in the postseason and all that. And I think we can beat them next time around, hopefully. Especially if Montreal can. I think we can. But I don't know. I guess Montreal can beat them. Another sweep versus Anaheim, but not the prettiest games ever. 4-3. And then we just kind of said, screw it. We're in third place. We don't want to get people hurt. So Parise's out there instead of, like Fiala and Kaprizov. Yes, I do understand that. It just sounds funny, though. It sounds funny. I'll put Parise out there. Yeah, Suter. Yeah, Parise and Suter. Yeah, well, Suter's kind of like, like the number 3, number 4 defenseman right now. Parise's like Parise's like the 9th or 12th forward. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Just put him out there and this and that and let Capo Kakinen get his ass kicked. And that's pretty much what happened. 11-3 in 2 games. 4-0 and 7-3. Ugh, fest. And then you had the entertaining series with Vegas, which we pretty much know what happened. And I talked about that on previous episodes. Of course, a very entertaining first game. 1-0 win with Jules Arsenault being the hero. And that was really cool because I thought Jules Arsenault played awesome the entire series. I thought he was the best forward on the Wild throughout the series versus the Vegas Golden Knights. I gave him the Mike Modano Award for the entire series. And then the guy would be a close second would have been Talbot, but I think I really believe that Jules Arsenault played wonderful in that series. Dumba had off and on moments, but that's Matt Dumba, damn it. 3-1, Vegas was just better. The Wild looked like we had a shot in that one, but then they were just better. Game 3, Vegas just kicked our butts most of the way. Of course, then again, there was a turning point in that game where a call didn't go our way. We didn't get a goal that we believe we should have had, and then it was just, next thing you know, the Wild lose 4-0 and are down 3-1, which sounds generally familiar for Vegas taking a 3-1 lead in the series, because next thing you know, it was Game 7 after the Wild had a weird Game 5, very weird Game 5. What did we muster? Like, it was 21-1, right, in the second period of that game. I know everybody's talked about it a million times, so you don't need me to go into that too much. And everybody had the right to talk about it because it's ridiculous. 21-1, and we won the game. Next thing you know, Talbot's fantastic. The Wild's puck possession was finally like where we want it, where we hope it would be on a more consistent basis. A 3-0 victory. Twins. Yeah, I feel like Herbie Puckett in Game 6 home run there, but it wasn't quite like that. And then that would be more like Richard Park's overtime winner versus Colorado sent us to Game 7. We'll see you Monday night. They won the series, yep. And in this case, Vegas, this was the first Game 7 loss for a Minnesota team in quite a while, quite honestly, unless you want to count Game 5 versus Seattle with the Timberwolves. which, it was a deciding game back then. First round went to 5 games, which I think is a little better. I think it's actually a little bit more of a sprint into the playoffs for the NBA rather than 7-game series, and some of those series are not good. But the Wolves blew an opportunity to knock out Seattle. They ended up taking a 2-1 lead and then losing the series. Losing game 4 at home was just a crushing loss. So disappointing, heartbreaking. And then Seattle killed us in game 5. So you could say that was the last official one. But for me, I go back to Detroit, game 7. And it's the last loss for a Minnesota hockey team in game 7. Again, unless you want to count the national championship game for hockey. But no, it's not a series. It's one game. Minnesota, in that case, had the 3-1 lead over the Detroit Red Wings. It was like, this is cool. And then you lose game 5. It's like, crap. Well, it was in Detroit. Figure they're not going to go away. So we'll finish them off in game 6. No, the North Stars didn't finish them off in game 6. And then game 7, of course, Detroit scores early. The North Stars kind of hang in there, a little bit, and then they just pull away. And it's just like goal after goal after goal. And, well, we'll see you in several months. This is fun. And that's pretty much what this was. It was the same thing, game 7. Again, game 7 lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. So that's pretty much the postseason. It was fun. It was nice. It was an awesome series. Let's just be honest. It was an awesome series. It just sucks coming out on the losing end of it. And yes, Max Pacioretty did not play until game 7, and he made a difference. And he did. He actually had the dagger goal in a lot of ways that put the Vegas Golden Knights up 3-2. Technically, that's the game-winning goal. And that was the turning point of the game. Jordan Greenway was pretty much caught sleeping. He was just do-si-do, waltzing, just gliding down the ice. And Pacioretty just kind of passed him. And then Jordan Greenway was like, "Oh, okay. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. Well, we'll get him back. We'll get him back." No, you didn't get him back. You didn't score another goal again, and they did, and 3 more times after that. Yes, Max Pacioretty. I can never say that name really well. It doesn't roll off my tongue real well. But former Montreal Canadian, I'm sure he's kind of disappointed right now. All those years in Montreal, and they booed the bleep out of him the whole series, and they beat them. They beat the Golden Knights, and Pacioretty's on the other side of that. Ouch! Carey Price, though, very happy for him at the end of the day. Yes, I do think if Max, let's just call him Max, or Pax, or whatever you want to call him, was on the line, was in the roster the whole series, it probably would have been different. Probably, most likely. It might not have gone to 7 games, but maybe it would have. I mean, the Wild, just for whatever reason, matched up well with this club. We're kind of similar teams, in a way. It's just Vegas has more firepower. No kidding, no kidding. Their best defenseman is better than our best defenseman. Their top forwards are better than our top forwards. It's just that simple. Kirill Kaprizov does remind me of Mark Stone. He does. Kevin Fiala, when he's on, he's spectacular. But they're just deeper, stronger, this and that. Mr. Ryan Reeves made no friends in this postseason. Obviously, he was a jackass the entire series. And bruising Parise's cheekbone was not cool at all, throwing him into the net like that. And the worst part about that, of course, was the way that he flipped out at the referee, thinking, what the hell, what kind of bullshit is this, No, dude, you're the bullshit. Why would you do that? It's like, there's just no reason for that kind of stuff. It was intentional, and it was obvious, and he continued with his behavior as the playoffs moved on. Of course, there were other bad moments like Scheifele as well. I think that was versus Montreal. Yeah, early in that series. Obviously, it's just stuff like that. Come on, come on. We can be better, guys. We can be better NHL players without doing that kind of stuff. There's just no need for it. Sometimes you get frustrated. You want to really smack a guy, but do it in a reasonable fashion. Don't literally. What would it even be? It was like a suplex. What Ryan Reeves did early on as well, and it's just too much. It's just too much. So with that said, let's get to the actual wrap-up in terms of the awards for the season. Slightly shorter than last time, which I think is better. Might as well. I think I went on too long last time, and that might bore the listeners, which you are, the listeners, so I appreciate you all so very much. The most valuable player for the Minnesota Wild in the 2020-21 season, even though it was only in 2021. Wrap your yeah, that's a tongue twister. Kirill Kaprizov is the most valuable player for the Wild. He made things go. He made the team better. He made them more competitive. Wow. Again, he reminds me of Mark Stone, and he could do a little bit of everything. He's got a little Patrick Kane in him as well with the stick handling. Just very exciting what Kirill Kaprizov can bring for the Wild for many, many years to come. Plus 10 on the year. Really cool. Really cool. One of the better guys out there in that case. Foligno and Joel Eriksson also very notable in the plus-minus category. Susie was a plus 22. How about that? Whew! Crazy when you think about that stat. But generally speaking, it's just very positive going into next year as long as we can get everybody signed and everyone's happy and we don't get this feeling like, oh, you'll be gone in 3 years. Adios, amigo. It'll be fun while it lasts, but hopefully it's going to last a lot longer than just 3 years after this one with Kirill Kaprizov. That's the tough part, though. Free agent, just like that. Oh, doesn't that suck? Doesn't that just suck? Other candidates for most valuable player, Cam Talbot, of course. I'd even say Joel Eriksson is a candidate for most valuable player. Kevin Fiala should be up there, at least in the conversation. But even Brodin, like a distant dark horse. As good as he was good most of the year, but obviously not perfect. Kirill Kaprizov is your most valuable player. Biggest disappointment, I was not happy with Dumba's lack of production once again, 21 points. But generally speaking, he kind of already did this last year. He was kind of the same player last year. Still some of the mental gaffes, and then the offense is just not there for some stinking reason. Hopefully it regenerates at some point, unless if he's on another team, watch it happen. But Marcus Johansson was the biggest disappointment because you expect a little bit more from Marcus Johansson coming into the season. I wasn't expecting him to be this world beater, but I thought he was going to be more of a factor than he was for the Minnesota Wild this year. I thought he was very disappointing during the course of the season. Couldn't stay healthy. Couldn't, I don't know. I don't know if it was lack of chemistry, lack of effort, lack of something. Just something wasn't there. And in a contract year, you'd hope for more than that. We'll see what happens with Marcus Johansson, but I truly doubt he comes back to Minnesota unless it's on a dirt cheap one-year deal. And that's about the way it's going to be, I think. I'm guessing he won't even get a call, though, or him or his agent won't get a call from Bill Guerin or one of the Minnesota Wild brats. The biggest surprise, there's always a conversation there with who the biggest surprise is. You could kind of say Greenway, you could say Joel Eriksson. Definitely, you could, some people could have even said Kalkinen with the 9 wins in a row, which was so cool. I really loved that at the end of the day. Ryan Hartman was a bit of a surprise. He was very solid, but he wasn't that great. He was just very solid. At the end of the day, I go with the biggest surprise is Joel Eriksson. Not because I didn't expect him to do it. It's just, when is he going to do it? Where is it, Joel? Come on, let's go. Greenway getting 32 points was cool. It was really nice, but Joel Eriksson was just better. I mean, that's why he's even an MVP candidate in a lot of ways. You could even say Kirill Kaprizov was a surprise in terms of how quickly he adjusted to the National Hockey League. It was just it was just right away. It was just overnight. Oh, he's in the NHL? Yeah, well, he's still a star, just like he was in the KHL. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You blinked. He's still a star. That kind of thing. But Joel Eriksson will get the biggest surprise of the year, even though it's like, again, it's there, just when's it going to come? That type of thing. And it finally came a bit. I expect even more improvement going into next year. But he was on pace for about 25 goals and, something like 45, 50 points. That's pretty good. And the fact he's an unbelievable defensive forward as well. Maybe someday we'll be a Selke guy. I hope so. I really hope so. With that said, we'll take a quick break and now look at the future of the Minnesota Wild now that we have wrapped up the 2020-2021 season. We'll be back after this. We are back here on Brave the Wild, segment 1.5, something I started a couple years back on Timberwolves Explosion during the state of the Timberwolves, I believe 2019, 2018, 2017, whatever year it was. because I figured you want to keep the show mostly on the Wild or the Wolves, depending on what team it is we're talking about. And in this case, it's because, this segment was created so we could talk about the postseason, basically. So we do have a little time to talk about it. Also, though, before I even get into that, it would be rude for me to not mention Tom Kurvers. The passing of Tom Kurvers on June the 21st, 2021. Born September 14th, 1962. He was an absolutely fantastic defenseman. Grew up in Bloomington. Played for the Bloomington Jefferson. And he was just absolutely one of the greats. Obviously, an amazing career. Played for Minnesota Duluth. Got to the national championship game, lost in 4 overtimes, played for the Montreal Canadiens. He was actually taken in the 7th round, 145th overall, the 1981 NHL entry draft. Of course, played for Minnesota Duluth and got to the 84 championship game, where they lost to Bowling Green of all teams. Bowling Green. Tom Kurvers is a defenseman. We'll remind you, he played defense. Yeah, 76 points, 18 goals, 58 assists. Absolutely fantastic. Never really was about the glory or anything. Never really wanted all the credit, this and that. He'd always pass credit on to his teammates. And he was the same way as an executive for the Minnesota Wild. And, of course, also was a big part of building this maybe dynasty for Tampa Bay. I mean, they got to the Cup Finals in 2015. Unfortunately, lost in 6 to the Chicago Bleeping Blackhawks, and I was pissed. Last year, marched past the Dallas Stars after losing Game 1. And this year, crushed the Montreal Canadiens in a big way. Vasilevsky, of course, we'll talk about him in a second. But Tom Kurvers obviously helped build that team with Steve Yzerman, came to Minnesota with Paul Fenton, and stayed with Bill Guerin. And then, unfortunately, for some reason that we don't know, developed lung cancer without having smoked a cigarette in his life. Smoked a cigarette, cigar, anything like that in his life. Just a really bad break, and that's pretty much what he called it. He was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, officially. 6 foot, 190 in his playing career. Again, just, he wasn't the biggest guy, but he didn't have to be. He was just fantastic. He was stern. He was prolific, though. I mean, even in the NHL, you look at his numbers, and you're just like, holy crap, he was really good. He was a damn good player. Montreal Canadiens as a rookie, and of course, yes, it was a little more offensive game back then. But even as the league got tougher and tighter, he still was very productive. Being Tom Kurvers, of course. Heck, I even put him on the roster for my on NHL '95 for the Dallas Stars. I had Bill Guerin, Tom Kurvers, guys like that with Madonna and others that are part of the Minnesota North Stars or Minnesota Wild, one way or another. And just Minnesota ties. I brought Dino Ciccarelli to that team. So it's really cool. Kurvers is just great on that team. And NHL '95 is really good. Even though that was the end of his career with the Anaheim Ducks, only 7 points in 22 games. The 94-95 Anaheim Mighty Ducks, as we would call them. But no, as a rookie with Montreal, 45 points in only 75 games. Pretty awesome. Not only, but in 75 games. Career high of 66 points for the New Jersey Devils in 88-89. 52 points for the Toronto Maple Leafs in 70 games. 15 of those goals. Absolutely great career. 56 goals, or 56 points, pardon me, for the New York Islanders. 9 goals, 47 assists, 91-92. That was when the North Stars were still in Minnesota. So Kurvers, of course, played against the North Stars. Never against the Minnesota Wild, of course. Not quite young enough. I wish he was. Unfortunately, died at age 58. Tom Kurvers. Everybody on the planet thought he was the greatest guy. I never met him, obviously. Some people did, though. Some people in the hockey community that aren't like, Michael Russo and all them, like that are really in the media, like the media. They're in the alternative media like myself. Some of them have met him, but I never got a chance. But just listening to him on the radio, you could tell he's just a kind, genuine individual. So, I mean, I'm very happy to owe it to him to bring up his name and pay my respects to Tom Kurvers. As sad and depressing as it is that he would pass away like this, it's just terrible. Things just kept getting worse and worse, and he ended up leaving this earth. Just God bless him in a big way, him and his family, Tom Kurvers. We will now give him a moment of silence. With that, we will attempt to segue to the NHL playoffs, of course, back where we left off. Of course, the Wild had been defeated by the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3 in the series. And on that last show, I talked about the Vegas Golden Knights somehow beating the Colorado Avalanche in 6. Somehow I developed the guts to pick the Vegas Golden Knights to beat the Avalanche in 6 games when they were getting crushed 6-1. Flashing on the same TV I'm looking at right now is the Lightning in Tampa Bay celebrating their 3rd Stanley Cup championship and 2nd in a row. They're a pretty nice franchise, aren't they? Pretty successful. And Vegas won it in 6. It was just shocking the way they just took over after Colorado had won the first 2 games. New York Islanders outlasted Boston after a great start by the Boston Bruins. So you got to have the Islanders face off with Tampa as things would have to move around because Vegas took over the number 1 overall seed in the postseason, having knocked off Colorado in what was called the Western Division. Yeah, it's just it's so confusing, isn't it? Because things are all different and messed up and changed. It's like conference division. Yeah. Well, yeah. Montreal had came back from 3-1, took force at Game 7, and they ended up winning that 7th game since the last episode. They crushed Winnipeg in 4 games to get to the conference final to play Vegas. Well, it looks like Vegas is going back to the Cup final. Here we go. This is Vegas's chance. I mean, here we go. Golden opportunity. Montreal, but, well, Montreal earned it. I mean, the way they crushed Winnipeg made it look so easy. You figured everything will be fine. Vegas, the way their offense opened up and they were able to kind of outmatch the Colorado Avalanche and outdeep them. It was the depth, basically, that helped Vegas beat Colorado. That's, and Grubauer wasn't as good as you'd think he'd be. He just wasn't as sharp. And then Montreal got physical with their big, strong defensemen, and they beat the Vegas Golden Knights despite getting beat pretty bad in Game 1. I mean, just because a team wins Game 1 in a series doesn't mean the series is over. And boy, did that prove it. The Colorado series, heck, the Minnesota beating Vegas, yeah, well, it was just a 1-0 game, so I guess it wasn't that lopsided. But a 5-1 crushing of Montreal, you figure Vegas is going to the final. No, they didn't. And then Tampa beat Montreal 5-1 in the final, and, well, that ended up being kind of how it went. But we'll go back and forth. Tampa Bay, yeah, we'll talk about them in a minute. New York Islanders, just that stifling defense, good, solid goaltending. They could have won the Cup this year very much when you consider how close they were to beating Tampa. I mean, they were damn close. Because, well, let's get back to where Tampa was. After the New York Islanders outlast the Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay beat their Florida counterparts 4-2. They just crushed the team I picked to win the Cup. But I did say, so I'll take some credit here, even though I don't deserve it. I'll steal like 10% of the 100% piece of pie. 10% of it saying whoever wins that series is going to win the Stanley Cup. Well, they did. Yep. And Tampa just crushed Carolina in 5 games. Pardon me. It was just, it was easier than it should have been. How about that? They just kicked their ass. And man, Vasilevsky was unbelievable. And it's really ironic how Vasilevsky, in all 4 series, because it takes 4 series to win a Stanley Cup, in the closeout game got a shutout. So I think that's your Conn Smythe winner, pretty safe to say. And again, keeping a really nice Carolina offense down to 2-1. Pretty good. Their only loss was an overtime game, 3-2, in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And when I saw the Lightning beat Carolina 6-4 in game number 4, I'm like, I think not only they're going to beat Carolina, they're probably going to go back-to-back. But, of course, I didn't get behind the mic and had already made my pick. It was going to be Carolina-Vegas with Carolina winning the Cup, or Carolina and who did I have in the final? Well, I think it was Vegas. I can't even remember now. Pretty sure it was Carolina-Vegas. Carolina-St. Louis, that's who it was originally. And, of course, St. Louis got absolutely smoked by Colorado. Kind of funny. The Tampa-New York series, though, that was probably the best series of the entire playoffs, even though you might call it boring hockey because there was 1-0 and this and that. There was also an 8-0 Tampa Bay win, which is just crazy. Crazy. That's when it's like Tampa wins the Cup this year. 8-0. Pittsburgh Penguins versus that team that played in Bloomington, Minnesota. We will leave that alone. Pittsburgh, yeah, Tampa Bay does have a little Pittsburgh Penguins to them. When New York beat Tampa 2-1, though, you thought, maybe they really have a shot at this. But Tampa just kept coming back. But then New York kept coming back again to tie it up in that 8-0. New York forces a 7th game with the OT win. And then it's a 1-0, just heartbreaker for New York. They gave it everything they had, the New York Islanders, and they just couldn't beat them. You could see the tears in their eyes. They were so heartbroken. because New York beats Tampa, they win the Cup for sure. Even though it would have been pretty cool to see a New York-Montreal final. New York Islanders, not Rangers. Even though I'm sure a lot of hockey historians would have loved to see the Rangers. I don't like the Rangers. I don't like the Rangers at all. There's nothing old school about them. They just sign all the most expensive players, and they've been doing that forever. They put together some nice players through the draft. They've been a little better about it, but back in the 90s, it was like, this guy, that guy in the early 2000s. It was so annoying. They would sign all the most expensive free agents and not win jack. Heck, I mean, they even put together a lot of old Edmonton Oilers players on the New York Rangers team. It was kind of funny how that turned out, but they ended up winning one cup out of it. I'm glad it stayed at one. I don't want them to win another cup unless it's against like Chicago Blackhawks or something. Then go Rangers. Go get them. Go get them, Rangers. Great to see Montreal finally get back to the final again. How cool was that? Even though I was kind of disappointed. I know you all hate Vegas, and I don't blame you. And I hate Ryan Reeves. He's a jackass. And I hate some of the other players on that team. They were a little bit rough. They were kind of naughty, so to speak. They're just naughty boys out there. Naughty boys. But Montreal shut them down, just like Dallas did a year ago. It was really something. It was really something indeed. And then Tampa just kind of, the reason why Tampa's Stanley Cup champions is because not only because they have the best lineup, because they do. They have absolutely the best lineup in the NHL. But it's also the fact that they are virtual chameleons. I mean, they adjust to whoever they're playing, and they match your every move and kick your ass. That's pretty much what Tampa does. You know how the Angry Video Game Nerd, I'm sure most of you don't know who that is, but if you do, he was reviewing the game Zelda 2, and the final boss is your shadow. It's Link's shadow, the main character's shadow. And he said he will match your every move and kick your ass. That's pretty much what Tampa does. You want to play a defensive game, and they can do it and beat you. You want to open things up, they can do that and beat you. And they have the best goalie in the league, and he is the consummate champion, Mr. Vasilevsky. Congratulations to him. I mean, again, closeout games, all shutouts this year, and he was just good, strong, consistent the entire series. Montreal did get that OT win, preventing me from releasing the show on Sunday night, so it ended up being Wednesday night or early Thursday, depending on how long it takes me to edit. Shouldn't be too long, but again, this Audacity is different at the end of the day. Audacity is a little different with this new laptop, but because it's the newest Audacity. I'd been using the old Audacity to adjust to that old computer, and it was nice for a little while. Corey Perry's unfortunately on the wrong side of the equation again, just like last year, but I don't think a lot of people are huge fans of his. Cole Caulfield, pretty amazing rookie year, getting to the Cup final. Eric Stahl getting back to the final and not winning, unfortunately for him. It's a nice young team with some talent. Carey Price was fantastic. He could have been taken instead of Benoit Pouliot, but we took Benoit Pouliot. So that was back in the 2005 draft. 2006 draft, pardon me. That was after that freaking lockout ended. And it was nice to see it end because there was no 04-05 season in the NHL. It was the 06 draft. 4th overall pick, Benoit Pouliot. Could have taken Carey Price. Maybe things would have been a little different for the Wild, but maybe not because the roster around Carey Price wouldn't have been so great for quite a while there. Though then again, I suppose during the Gaborik and Dimitra days, maybe it could have been interesting, but we'll never know. God rest Pavel Dimitri's soul as well. Tampa Bay, though, they have it put together. I mean, they have everything, and of course, Braden Point versus Louis Belpedio. It's never going to end with us. Every team has these where you have draft regrets, but I don't know. Whenever it's your team, it feels like we're the ones with the most of these. Braden Point, and we let Tampa trade up to take him, and we were happy to take Louis Belpedio, who's maybe at best going to be a third-pairing defenseman in the National Hockey League. Braden Point almost ended the Stanley Cup final in overtime in game number 4, which would have been a clean sweep. Sweeps are boring, but 5-game series aren't much more exciting, unfortunately. It's just Tampa was better. They're just better. Again, cool to see Montreal back in the final. It was their first appearance since '93 when they beat the Kings. After losing game 1, they won the next 4, and they won a ton of overtime games throughout those entire '93 Cup playoffs. They were just unbelievable. At Gretzky's club, they were just, this just wasn't enough. Montreal was just better. It was a nice team. Nice to see Brian Bellows hoist the cup at long last, and Patrick Waugh hoist his second, and he would get his third with Colorado in '96 after demanding a trade from the Montreal Canadiens at the time. Montreal's last loss in the Stanley Cup final was to the Calgary Flames, so a Canadian team was going to win. Whether it be the Canadiens or the Calgary Flames, the Canadian team was going to win in '86. So we're still waiting for the next Canadian team, be it the Canadiens, you get the idea what I'm doing here, to win the Stanley Cup. Vancouver was the last team that had a legitimate shot at it, and they just fell apart against Boston in the end. Poor Isha Jerome, I'm sure that still sticks in his craw, and I don't blame him. It sucks. Losing sucks. It just does at the end of the day. But what a sexy, gorgeous lineup. Kucherov was one of the best players in the league. Vasilevsky, probably the best goalie. Andrei Vasilevsky, of course. Tyler Johnson's a really good player. Minnesota ties. Steven Stamkos was arguably one of the best players in the league going up to the 2019-15 finals, and he let the team down quite a bit that year. And then he was off injured. He missed a lot of time last year, but they still got the cup. Tampa Bay had the best team in the league by far in 2019, but of course utterly choked to the Columbus Blue Jackets. But an absolutely great team, well put together. Anthony Cirelli's a physical, solid, awesome player who can win faceoffs a little bit. Barclay Goodrow was really good in the faceoff circle. Again, Victor Hedman might be the best defenseman in the league. He's just so good. Ryan McDonough's really nice. Saranek's good. Sergachev, David Savard. I mean, he just goes up and down. He was a nice acquisition during the season. It's a great team, well put together, and who's to say they can't be the first three-peat NHL team since the New York Islanders in the early 80s. So could happen, could easily happen. Maybe Tampa Bay will be like the 82 New York Islanders and win 3 in a row. I think it's safe to say they're the favorites next year. I mean, who's going to beat them? So we'll see. I think Tampa Bay, right now, if I were to pick, Tampa Bay three-peats next year. Congratulations, Tampa Bay Lightning. Awesome season again. I wish the Wild came back with a vengeance after choking right away to the St. Louis Blues. After just being disappointed. Disappointing. Out-coached, outplayed, out this, out that. Outsmarted, out this, out that. Out-efforted by the St. Louis Blues, by Mike Yo's club with Jake Allen, who was on the other side on the Montreal Canadiens, getting a Campbell Conference Championship for the first time in eons, I'm sure, for them. Where Tampa went up with the Prince of Wales just like last year, like when it was still counted as a normal division, but in the bubble. Tampa getting to win in front of their home crowd. And the city of Tampa Bay, Lord have mercy. Tampa Bay Rays lose the World Series. That sucks. And I hate the Dodgers now for some reason. I just don't like anything Los Angeles anymore. I'm sick of them. Sorry, Vince Germano, if he's listening. Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. Loved that. I can't stand the Chiefs anymore. Can't stand them. Tampa Bay Lightning win 2 cups and now 3 overall after defeating the Calgary Flames in 2004. What a nice franchise. Of course, again, getting to the Cup final in 2015, losing to the frickin' gosh darn Chicago Blackhawks. And they lost in the 2011 Eastern Conference Finals to the eventual champ Boston Bruins. They got there, but they got beat, unfortunately. I believe Dwayne Rollison was still playing. I believe that was one of his last years in the NHL. And he was a big factor for that Tampa team as they were developing, trying to go for another run. But 3-4 years later, we'd really see what Tampa could do, and they've been great ever since. They've been absolutely great. The city of Tampa Bay, fourth championship round appearance in the last frickin' like 8-9 months, and 3 championships to show for it. That's very un-Minnesota-like, isn't it? We get 3 teams in the Frozen Four for college hockey, and 0 of them will return with the trophy. Whatever team it was, they won. Yep, if it was North Dakota, if it was Boston College, if it was the University of Massachusetts, doesn't matter. That's the one that won at the end of the day. So that will conclude segment 1.5, about 20 minutes. But I had to talk about the postseason a little bit. It wasn't this big, strong analytics. It was more of an emotional conversation. But still, it was cool. It was cool to watch this postseason. It was very entertaining. Kind of anticlimactic, though, at the end of the day. Montreal just couldn't match up with Tampa Bay, and really nobody could, except the New York Islanders. But again, Tampa proved they can open things up and beat you. They can shut you down. Whatever it is, they can do it. And that's where Tampa Bay is the best team in the league, regardless if they have the best record going into the postseason. It's not like they were this huge underdog, but they were, the 3rd seed in their division. They finished third place in their division, which is exactly what the Wild did.
Yeah, I think their division was a little tougher, but yeah, feels like light years away. Seeing players hold the trophy. There's Hedman in the background again. It's just replays though. I have the NHL Network on, moving the puck, moving the cup around, and it is what it is. Yep, he gave it to Savard there, David Savard, the excellent third pairing defenseman for the Tampa Bay Lightning this year, as they had some good players acquired last year to help them out on the third pairing as well. With that said, we'll take a quick break and look at the future, and hopefully the Wild getting a Stanley Cup someday. I sure damn hope so.
And we are back here on Brave the Wild, segment number 2. Time to look at some prospects and all that. Going to also look at the potential of free agents or trades, this and that. We'll see. Something's going to happen. A few things are going to happen. You got to think it's not going to just be status quo going, and obviously people are going to be gone, this and that. But first, we're going to hear from the Vig It application. Vig It on Android and Apple devices, of course. VIGIT is 2 separate words. What are they? So what is it all about? It could be social media for sports bettors. You can post about your picks and see what others are saying about games. Vig It Betting Leagues, a month-long betting competition to see who the best sports bettor is over the course of a month. Free-to-play sportsbook, bet free coins, win real prizes, and betting stats. There is great information available on a Vig It like line, where the like line movement where the public is betting. So basically, at the end of the day, it's like a free sports betting application in terms of you're not betting real money. It's like fantasy betting in a lot of ways, and you can kind of compete against other people. And hey, you could improve your betting skills this way. Maybe you can improve your confidence at it. That's just how it is at the end of the day. So you're not betting real money. We are not. I don't want to misrepresent the Vig It application as real money wagering. It is not. It is play money. But again, it's fun, it's entertaining, and this way you don't lose money. That's the positive way to look at it. You're competing against other people, and I got to create some groups here and there to get people competing during the course of the seasons. NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball. Even if you're a Twins fan, maybe you could just pick them to lose every game, and you'll probably make a fortune. So, no, I'm kidding. You probably wouldn't make that much because they'd be the underdog anyway, the way they've played this year most of the time. Or bet on them to win and get lucky once in a while. Maybe they'll actually beat the Yankees. No. With that said, though, do download the Vig It application. When they ask for a referral, type in Paladinolive. It is all one word, Paladinolive. I will put that in the show description. Thank you in advance for those of you that may have done that and will be doing it in the future. Thank you always. So, first, there's a disclaimer I have to give to you right away. I am not an NHL draft expert. I'm not like a prospect genius, this and that. I love to keep up with the prospects a lot, especially guys that have already been drafted by the Minnesota Wild one way or another, or maybe signed as a free agent out of college or out of Europe or whatever the heck, out of high school. Who knows? I keep up with those guys a bit better. It's a pretty big pool of players out there, obviously. And it's worldwide. It's tough to keep up with. So I'm just being honest with you. I look at guys that I could be around where the Wild are drafting and positions of needs and interest, this and that. Just kind of hoping for the best there. But I did look at a few players, including another one after I have to redo this segment. Matt Coronado a bit more. I wanted to get back to him a bit more, and he looks good. Right now on my NHL draft, so I'll use this as a cheat sheet. MyNHLDraft.com. That way you can have all the players in front of you. And, it's just ideas of where guys are going. Owen Power has been the power of the draft. Yeah. Pun intended, I guess. Buffalo Sabres, Owen Power, left-handed defenseman out of Michigan, University of Michigan, heading to Buffalo most likely. I'm not sure if he's happy about that, but maybe. The Buffalo Sabres used to be a pretty cool franchise in the 80s and 90s. And so, I don't know. They have to get better at some point. We'll welcome the Seattle Kraken to the National Hockey League with Matthew Bernier. That seems to be a trend as well. He's a center coming out of the University of Michigan. Well, Michigan, yeah, they should have done better in the tournament, but they didn't. That's just how that goes. Oh, bummer, right? But again, oftentimes it's guys that are like 19. That's why they didn't even get a chance. to really do anything in college. They just said, screw it, I'm going pro. Kind of like, yeah, well, you know how that goes. That either that or they just get drafted right away and they have to make a decision if they're going to go pro or not. More than likely, these guys will go pretty quick, especially Owen Power. Matthew Bernardes could be the early on franchise player, or franchise hope anyway, for the Seattle Kraken. The logo, it's a cool idea. The name is really cool. The colors don't do much for me because they look too much like the Seattle Mariners. That's my biggest complaint about the Seattle Kraken at the end of the day. So that's just my vibe there. Luke Hughes. Sounds like a former Twins player, and you get them all mixed up with these other Hughes. There's been 2 other Hughes, Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes. It's just like, okay, it's complicated, it's goofy, and they're always high in the draft, like top 10 guys. It's kind of funny. It's funny how that turned out. There's been a lot of Hughes coming in the National Hockey League. He'd go 3rd to the Anaheim Ducks, all the way down at 21. And I'm seeing some mock drafts where the Wild are picking 22nd. So some people are assuming that the Wild will make a trade with Boston or somebody like that. There's a guy that Boston would now be taking, as this mock draft has changed since I recorded a couple of days ago. There's a guy that I really like, and I'll get back to him momentarily. Let's talk about Matt Coronado first. Apparently, he's on his way to Harvard University. Dominated in the USHL. He led it in goals last year. 48 goals. He was fantastic. 37 assists, 85 total points in only 51 games for the Chicago Steel. That's actually a familiar name. U.S. Hockey League. U.S. Hockey League, obviously young guy. Very, very young guy. The year before, 40 points in 45 games. But obviously just getting started. He was 17 years of age at the time. Very young guy. Played all the way back to 2014 for the Long Island Stars. Damn, that's pretty young. He's under 14. They have stats going all the way back to when he's 13 years old. The young man out of Huntington, New York. So it really is going to be like Matt Coronado. No, I'm just kidding. You get the idea. Hey, Matt Coronado, get over here. I'm just kidding. Looks good. Looks really good. Really like his release on his shot. He can burst a bit with his skating. He's a decent skater, I would say. Definitely offensive-minded, 100%. He can play both right and left wing, apparently, which is interesting, I guess. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not, but versatility is a good thing. Looks to me like a right winger, though, I would say. Most of his shots, most of his goals were coming from the right side and right shot release and all that. And that's a position of need if you're a Minnesota Wild fan. Matt Coronado, number 27, looked pretty damn impressive. Again, on the wristers, his release on his shot, definitely an offensive player who is a natural goal scorer. No question about it. That's what he's going to do, is going to score goals for the Minnesota Wild or whoever he goes to. Very nice, very solid. And again, I like his skating ability, and he's a little tricky too, where he can get around players. Of course, it's different league, obviously. USHL, I'm not sure that he'd be able to do some of the little tricks, where you just kind of fool players quite as well at the higher levels, but we'll see. Maybe he'll just continue to develop and continue to grow, but appears to have a pretty good hockey IQ early on in his career. See if that continues to translate to the next level, and I freaking hope so. Guy that was floating around before seems to have vanished. Looks like he's out of the first round now. What the heck? Man, things are really changing in a big way. So we'll have to pass on that. I guess Coronado is going to replace him. They had the Wild taking him 25th. Now he's out of the first round. But I was a big fan of the guy. Kind of reminded me of Jason Zucker a bit. That was, of course, Tuamala. He's more of he's also a right winger. Kind of like Jason Zucker a bit. Kind of compared to him a bit. Obviously, fast skater. And remember, Jason Zucker was a second round pick. Maybe Tuamala will be there for the Wild in the second round, one way or another, or in the first round. Had that blazing speed and, again, quick release, this and that, but really, really a fast skater and really nice release on his shot. Good stick handling. Did have a Jason Zucker vibe to him. I actually saw that in a lot of ways. So maybe we can replace Jason Zucker, ironically, with the draft pick that the Wild acquired for trading Jason Zucker. And, by the way, you add Kalen Addison to the mix, who could help replace Dumba. And hopefully in a good way, not just be a downgrade, but I guess he's good enough to be in the NHL. That would be disappointing if that's how things turn out in that case. A guy that I'm absolutely in love with, and I would take at 21 if he's there. I'd even consider trading up to 19 or 20 if it's not giving up too much. Francesco Pinelli. For me, this is my guy right now in this area of the draft. Like last year, I identified Marco Rossi. Again, I'm no draft genius. Maybe I got lucky, but when I saw Marco Rossi do what he does, my jaw dropped. I was like, whoa. this guy's got to go top 3 or 4 in the draft, right? There's just no way he's going to slip to the Wild. And then he wasn't slipping to the Wild at that time. It was like right after that, mock drafts had Marco Rossi going from 9-ish to like 3, 4, like Ottawa, Detroit type of situation. Anaheim Ducks, Anaheim Schmucks, whatever you want to call them. They had him going really, really high. I think, was it Ottawa had 2 picks, like 3rd and 5th, if I remember correctly. It was like Ottawa and Detroit. And it's just Marco Rossi. I just saw him in a Detroit Red Wings jersey, like perfect fit, this and that. Obviously could really, and it's a great organization historically. And now he has Steve Yzerman to work under. Whoa, beautiful. Because, he's kind of got that similarity, smaller guy, incredible skills, stick handling, scoring, a little bit of everything. Good at everything, offense, defense, like Yzerman was, obviously. And again, Yzerman became a better defender as his career progressed. His points dropped a little bit, but that's how it is. Yeah. So let's get where I need to be. Pardon me. Francisco Pinelli, a center. He's a center. He's not a winger. I really like Francisco Pinelli. Yes, Pinelli out of Slovakia. This guy is really something. Slovenia, pardon me. He is really, really something. My goodness. His skating ability, it's very deceptive. Where he looks like he's just kind of lulling you to sleep, and then he'll just turn on the jets. And there's just something to this guy that I really like. I think there's more to him than some of these other guys. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be some gems here. There's obviously going to be some disappointments. But that's how it is. Who knows who's going to be good, who isn't going to be good at the end of the day. Guys translate differently for whatever reason. Or maybe they get hurt or something horrible like that, and you pray to God they don't. But Francisco Pinelli kind of reminds me of Alex Tuch as a center. Alex Tuch isn't a top-line superstar, but he's really damn good. And the Wild really would love to have Alex Tuch back right now. 10 out of 10 times we'd love to have Alex Tuch back. This guy reminds me of Alex Tuch, but as a center, and I believe he could provide more, being the fact he would be a center versus just a right winger. Really like what he brings. Again, he's got that burst like Alex Tuch. Obviously a bigger guy. Incredible hands, great release on his shot, and pretty damn good stick handler as well. Just love what he brings. Love Francisco Pinelli, and if he's there at 21, that's my guy, most likely. Obviously things can change, but that's my guy. His stats don't necessarily jump out at you, but they're pretty good. I played for Canada and the World Junior Classic. Played for Canada in the World Junior Classic. 18 years of age. 11 points in only 7 games, but yeah, very productive in that time. He played in Slovenia. Yeah, he's from Canada, so my apologies. He played in Slovenia. That's what I thought. Because he doesn't even. Yeah, the name doesn't add up. He's from Canada. He's got an Italian kind of a name, Italian or French kind of name there. So, yeah, doesn't add up. So yes, he did play in Canada, or he is originally from Canada. My apologies. At the end of the day, it's one of those old deals where you knew that, and then you said Slovenia anyway. But obviously, definitely has a skill set that I absolutely love, and I would take him on the Wild. More of a modern type of a center too, where again, it's not like Mikhail Granlund just looking to pass necessarily. More just of a passer, and he'll score here and there. He's more of that offensive style, kind of like the Bergeron, looking for the goals, this and that. And obviously Bergeron's more of a he's an absolutely legit 200-foot defenseman. And it's funny how they have Boston taking him 20th. So he'd probably be a great fit for the Boston Bruins. I'm sure they'd love to have him, and he could learn under Patrice Bergeron. I'm sure they'd love to have that, but I'd love to have him on Minnesota. I wouldn't be complaining about Matt Coronado, though. I think there's really he's a natural goal scorer. It's there. He's going to be a damn good scorer, I think, at every level he plays it. At the end of the day, Atu Ratti is a guy who's floated around as well. 6'2", Finnish center. He does remind me of Granlund, but with more of a goal scoring mentality. It's like if Granlund was bigger and was had more of a goal scorer mind, plays a Granlund type of game, which is good. Great stick handling. He can definitely pass, but there's more of a goal scorer inside of Atu Ratti. He's a guy, again, floating around. They haven't gone 22nd to Detroit right now, so that's right around 21, 25, whatever the heck it would be for the Minnesota Wild.
Obviously super young, and in those Finnish leagues, the stats don't really jump out at you. Small sample size, but from what I saw, yep, does remind me of a better version of Mikael Granlund. And Mikael Granlund went 10th overall in the draft, 10th. So don't forget that amazing statistic there. Granlund's a decent player, but obviously I do think other players would have been a better pick at the end of the day. Mackie, not Phil Mackey, but Mackie Samoskevich, yep, welcome there. He also played for the Chicago Steel. He also played for the Chicago Steel. He's going to the University of Michigan. So this would be that would be funny. So this one has the Wild taking both of these guys from the Chicago Steel. The odds of that are slim, but I guess you never know. Definitely a damn good passer. Doesn't have the goal-scoring knack that Matt Coronado does. So obviously Coronado's the star of these two guys. He's the star of the whole USHL. He's the Kirill Kaprizov of the USHL. No question about it. Is Matt Coronado. So you pick Matt and Matt from the Chicago Steel. I think it's kind of crazy. I'm guessing this will not happen, but definitely a solid passer. He's a center with more of a playmaking type of a center. Which, hey, you know, if we do get him and he's a nice fit, and who knows, maybe these guys would play on the same line someday with the Minnesota Wild. That'd be kind of cool. And sometimes it's a good idea for guys they just literally grow up together. You go from the Chicago Steel to, you know, well, they wouldn't play in the same college, but in the AHL and the NHL in the future someday. We'll see what happens with that. It's kind of, maybe my mind is all over the place with that one. I kind of liked what I saw there. Nikita, here we go. Nikita Chebrikov, that's another guy out of Russia. 5'10", just like Kirill Kaprizov. Right wing instead of left wing. St. Petersburg MHL. That is the MHL, and he's going to play in the KHL this year. Very productive. He's a better passer than a goal scorer, but he does have a goal-scoring knack. He gets close to the net. Kind of a Parisi-style game with great passing skills, a la Kirill Kaprizov. So it's kind of like a little bit of Parisi, a little bit of Kaprizov. He plays close to the net, kind of a juicy guy, obviously, or greasy goal type of guy. Again, let's not talk about Maxim Shashinsky. He just kind of got lucky here and there. Good productive player in Russia, but in the NHL he didn't translate. He just had a hot start, and then things just quickly vanished off the face of the earth. Kind of like water in a frying pan, unfortunately for the poor kid. Obviously he's not a kid, he's older than me now, but you get the idea. Nikita Chebrikov, I think there's definitely something there, and it'd be kind of cool. Definitely an age difference from Kirill Kaprizov, and we don't know how long Kaprizov's going to be signed with the Wild. We just pray to God. Maybe having this guy in the system can help a little bit. Maybe, and as he comes to Minnesota, he could play on the same line with Kaprizov with that great passing. Because I got to think sooner or later, Zuccarello is going to get older, slow down, this and that. That's just how life goes. He's in his 30s already, Zuccarello, but great chemistry so far with Kirill Kaprizov. He was a wonderful surprise. He was another guy, actually, who would have been on the list that I was almost blanking on before. I actually talked about that earlier on in the segment that was lost, which was devastating. But I like Nikita Chebrikov if he's there at 25, or maybe you trade up to get him, something like that. Trade up like in the end of the first round or early second round. I think there's something there, and maybe he might be somebody that could be a factor for Minnesota, and again, be a factor in keeping Kaprizov here. Maybe. Doesn't always matter at the end of the day. But he could play on the other side of Kaprizov someday, and Kaprizov could guide him, nurture him. They work together, and it's a fantastic match, along with Sandro DeGier, whoever that is. But if it's Marco Rossi or somebody who's not on the roster, or somebody who surprised everybody and is a nice star that we took later in the draft, maybe it's Pinelli. Maybe it's Pinelli as the center, which would be a lot of fun. I think, boy, you'd have some speed, you have some skill there at the end of the day. Chebrikov, again, yeah, he plays a strong game. He's strong, even though he's a smaller guy. He's strong. Not as strong as Kaprizov yet, but strength can come. It takes time, obviously. Kaprizov's in his 20s. Chebrikov is obviously not. So those are the guys I'm kind of looking at, this and that. Again, I'm no draft expert. I'm not here to brag and tell you how smart I am about the NHL draft. And you know what? Derek Felska doesn't brag either, but he does a fantastic job, and I'll brag for him because he does a great job. He'll be coming out with something very soon, I got to think. Keep an eye out for Derek Felska. Crease and assist, at Crease and Assist. Derek Felska loves to keep up with the draft, loves to keep up with prospects. He does an amazing job, and he really helps the show as well.
in segment number 3 and such. And he's giving advice here and there. He's a great guy. Lives and teaches as a teacher in western Wisconsin, close to Minnesota, but is a born and raised Minnesotan, a Gopher fan. Yes, not a Badger fan, not a Blue Devils fan, or did I just call them Blue Devils? A Bulldogs fan. I keep doing that. Bulldogs fan, not a Huskies fan, but he's nice to him. He's friendly to him. I don't hate those teams, but I'm a Gopher fan. Damn it. I don't know. I'm a Gopher fan. The other guy that was floating around, I knew there was one more. Xavier Borgault. He was actually going 21 a few days ago to Minnesota. Nothing about him really stands out, but his numbers are good. He played a little bit in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, so the league did play a little bit last year for a very short stretch, 29 games, 40 games for Mr. Xavier Borgault, and the Wild did not have any players in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League last year, so couldn't really cover him, unfortunately, at the end of the day. So some games were played, which is kind of weird. Some teams played, some teams didn't. Just like in the AHL, I think a couple teams bowed out. It was weird last year. Weird. OHL didn't play at all. Xavier Borgault, there's something there. Great stick handling. He's got a nice release. 20 goals, 20 assists, 40 points in 29 games. Doesn't get penalized a whole lot. It's good that he's well over a point a game in the queue. Still got a nice future, this and that. So he's obviously another possibility. A 6', 172 center. Solid player. I think he's definitely an option. Maybe you could take him 25th. He's not somebody I would go at 21, especially if Pinelli's there. So I'm not too surprised that he dropped a little bit in the last few days. I'm not too surprised. Pinelli, I'm not surprised he moved up either. He was going 22nd. Now he's going 20th to Boston. So it's going to be super interesting. He was actually going. Yeah, he was going to. I forget who it was. I think he was going to Detroit. He might have actually, yeah, and then that Rata was going to Edmonton, 20th. So things have changed. Things have moved around a little bit at this draft. Right now they have Nikita Chibrikov going 30th to the Montreal Canadiens, maybe the future Cup champs. We'll talk about that in segment 1.5. In fact, we already did, according to this one. So, according to this show anyway. With that said, segment 1.5, which is in between this one and the other one, but that's how that goes. Really looking forward to the draft at the end of the day. I think it's going to be very exciting. Wild can add some definite talent and give us some hope for the future moving forward. With that, we'll get to a little bit of free agency here. And according to Sport Tac and all that, that's what I'm using for this. I'll give them there's a couple of there's a lot of good goalies floating around, but they're obviously older and more expensive. Tuukka Rask is probably going to stay in Boston at age 34. Pekka Rinne, I don't know, 38 years old. I don't know what's going to happen to Pekka Rinne. Frederik Andersen's 31. That's an interesting choice. And, of course, Devin Dubnyk. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. He's a free agent now. Antti Ranta. I don't know why I'm looking at goalies. Philip Grubauer is a free agent. Ooh. But we'll see. I think we're set at goalie for now going into next year. I got to think we're going to stand pat. I think the guys did a good job. Nothing super exciting free agent wise with the goaltending. I think it was actually a better group last year, depending on how you feel. Andrew Hammond, I wouldn't mind bringing him back for the minors, but gosh, he's 30 or 33 already. Craig Henderson's 40. Yeah, he was with Washington last year. Calvin Pickard, Jean-Luc, Corey Schneider, man, he's already 35. Seems like yesterday he was the young guy behind Martin Brodeur, but unfortunately, he's been stuck forever. Henrik Lundqvist is already retired. Peter Mrazek, he's been decent everywhere he's gone. Jonathan Bernier is decent, not great. Carter Hutton, 35 already? What happened? 35? Dang. David Rittich, yeah, 29. He's not that exciting. Linus Ullmark's adequate. Cheap contract, actually. Why am I looking at goalies? So apologize there. Let's look at the Sender position as the position du jour. Ryan Getzlaf's too old, too expensive, and whatever. David Krecke out of Boston. Man, 35. I can't believe how old some of these guys are already. Derek Stepan, David Backes, no way. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a free agent. Would have been a nice dream if it was $6 million for $6 million, Dumba, for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Maybe a couple of years ago, the Wild could have pulled that off when Dumba was scoring 50 points. But, no, it's not going to happen. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to want a significant amount of money, and he's 28 already. The clock is ticking. the clock is ticking. You got Nick Bukestad, Marcus Johansson are free agents leaving Minnesota. Mikhail Granlund, whatever. At that contract, though, gosh, 3.7. Yeah, let's leave it alone. Matthias Janmark, who got the hat trick against the Wild in game number 7. Not expensive. He's not the biggest, he's not the biggest star, that's for sure. The Wild are going to have to pull off some type of trade here. I mean, because, I don't know. I don't see the Wild signing anybody significant. Eric Stahl's a free agent. He'll be leaving Montreal. Well, who knows? Maybe they'll keep him. What am I saying? Nick Bonino, I got to think is coming back to Minnesota, but not at $4.1 million. No, sir. No, sir. Zach Parise still signed for 4 more frickin' years, just like he said in his press conference, along with Mr. Ryan Suter. It's funny, though, how Jared Spurgeon's actually the highest paid player on the Minnesota Wild at the moment. It's going to be Kirill Kaprizov, barring some type of craziness. Matt Dumba, 2 years remaining at $6 million a year. Jonas Berdine, also $6 million a year, going on and on for years yet at the end of 2028. Nice to have him on board. And, of course, Jared Spurgeon at the end of 2027. 7.575 for Jared Spurgeon throughout the course of his contract at the end of the day. Matt Dumba is definitely a trade candidate because there's just too much money put in the defenseman right now. Ian Cole and Brad Hunt are both free agents. I wouldn't mind bringing both back. Brad Hunt would basically be a scratch though the whole year unless need be. Unless you can find somebody who's a better fit for that spot. Unfortunately, Carson Soucy is a legitimate possibility of going to the Seattle Kraken. That's a strong possibility. Unfortunately, Nico Sturm might even get picked up by them. Who knows? Although I doubt it at the end of the day. I think we'll be okay there. Victor Rask, obviously he's going to be exposed. There's even talk about possibly trying to get Seattle to get him somehow because that was Ron Francis is the general manager of the Seattle Kraken, of course, who signed Victor Rask to his contract in Carolina not too long ago. The former Hartford Whalers, of course. Yes, former Hartford Whalers, Carolina Hurricanes. 1 year left for Victor Rask. Do you want to just absorb it and blah-de-da or whatever? Or hope to God you can trade him. Matt Zuccarello, 3 years remaining, $6 million per. Nico Sturm becomes a free agent after next season. Unrestricted free agent for Nico Sturm. Unrestricted free agent for Nico Sturm after next year. So hopefully we can negotiate something. I wouldn't mind the Wild extending him in the offseason, like a 3-year ditty, one way or another. Pending free agents, I think Nick Bukestad does not come back, but maybe at a dirt cheap deal, like under $2 million for a year or two. Marcus Johansson, extremely unlikely to come back. Nick Bonino, he's the only guy who can win faceoffs. He wasn't spectacular, but he actually could win faceoffs. And he's actually not bad. He can still score goals. His leadership is priceless. 33 years of age. Bring him back on like a 1 or 2 year Matt Cullen type of contract. Something like, I remember the Wild signed Matt Cullen for like $1 million a year. But he was like 40 at the time. So, Bonino's not 40. But basically that would be Bonino's role. He's like a Matt Cullen, I think, going forward. He was born in Hartford, Connecticut, so it doesn't get much better than that. Yeah, I got to get that soundbite back now. I'm going to get it one of these days because I have literally 0 sound bites at this moment on this brand new laptop. Nick Bonino, Hartford, Connecticut, though he probably barely got to see the Whalers. I want to bring him back. I do. If we can get him under $2 million a year for 1 or 2 years, I want to bring him back. Ian Cole, he made, $4 million last year? He made a lot. Same kind of thing. Oh, man. If you can get him to 2.3, 2.1, something like that for like a 1 year ditty, Ian Cole, invaluable piece. I'd love to have him back with the Minnesota Wild. And his versatility, too. He can play right or left defense, even though left is his natural spot. And the possibility of losing Carson Soucy to the Seattle Kraken, you really want Ian Cole back from Minnesota. Because if Soucy's gone, Ian Cole is a priority at that point. Despite the fact he's a little older, 32 years of age, Bonino 33. They're older guys. You've got to bring them back, though, I think. Just unless they want a huge contract, which they're not probably in a position to do that. I'm guessing no. It's a miracle we got Ryan Hartman at 1.7. That's pretty good. That's a cheap deal. If you can somehow get those guys at a contract like that, I would feel pretty nice, actually. Marcus Foligno, 3.1. He got a small raise, and he played better. He played freaking better, so you can't complain too much about Marcus Foligno going from 2.7 to 3.1. He's freaking good, so I can't complain a whole lot about that.
Jordan Green maybe becomes a restricted free agent after next season. There might be a conversation there, maybe for an extension, but we'll probably wait till next year, of course, for that. We're going to be pretty busy with Fiala, Jewel Eriksson Ek, and Kirill Kaprizov. Again, Kirill Kaprizov, there's still a standoff there about the term more than anything. Understandably, Bill Guerin wants to sign him for as long as possible so we can have him here and not have to worry about losing him. Kirill Kaprizov wants to maximize his financial wherewithal. In the National Hockey League, he's 24 already. You signed him for a 5-year deal. He's 29 after that. That's not too bad, but it's 29. An 8-year deal, which is what they want. What the Wild want to do is the maximum amount. That would make him 32, and probably quite possibly, he might be underpaid a bit, just like on Nathan MacKinnon in Colorado. He's making $6 million a year. He's making as much as Matt Zuccarello and Matt Dumba and Jonas Brodin. Bloop, bloop, bloop. That's kind of crazy when you think about that. That is freaking crazy. Nathan MacKinnon, really, when you got guys making 10, 11, 12, 13 a year, superstar players. It's good for Colorado. Good cap thing, but I can't even imagine the frustration. That's like Scottie Pippen a bit with the Bulls years before, but maybe not that bad. Scottie Pippen is making $2 million a year for the Bulls when Michael Jordan made $33 million, $35 million the last 3 years there of that three-peat for the Bulls. Oops. Hey, but the owner warned him, so whatever. I do want Cole back. Hunt, maybe. I just called him something I didn't mean to. I apologize. Hunt needs to, he may have to play in the AHL or just be a press box guy or taxi squad, whatever the heck the situation is going into next year. Bukestad, no. Johansson, no. Bonino, yes. Cole, yes. Of course, Jewel Eriksson Ek, please, Lord. 5-year Diddy. If you can get him under $5 million a year, like 4.8, wow, that'd be awesome. 5-year Diddy, 4.8, he'd be 29 after that, so he's still got plenty of career left. You could re-sign him, or someone else takes him, whatever the heck happens there with Jewel Eriksson Ek's career. Kirill Kaprizov, he wants 3, or I think he wants only 3, so he could be 27 years of age and look to maximize the contract. The fear is that he could pull a Artemi Panarin type of deal where he'll wind up with the frickin' Rangers or the frickin' Kings or something like that. Watch him go to Los Angeles. Oh, God. And he'd be making $11-12 million a year, and he's the king of Los Angeles. God, because LeBron James would be retired by then or close to it. Oh, please, Lord, don't let it happen. Please. Or maybe the other guy, Byfield, will be the king of LA if he isn't traded for Jack Eichel. I'm not all in with the Jack Eichel deal. It'd be great to have him. He could be fantastic, but he has a neck injury that sounds familiar around here, with Danielle Hunter. Of course, Danielle Hunter looks good so far. We'll see with the Vikings. Check out Purple Mafia when you get the time for that, if you get the time for that. Obviously, possible chemistry issues. He's been inconsistent, but when he's good, he's freaking great. $10 million a year, though. $10 million a year. Get your wallet out, and that's a lot of cap space that will be absorbed. $10 million a year. It's going to be tough, and you're going to have to say goodbye to some really nice players like Kevin Fiala. There's no way he comes back if Jack Eichel's on Minnesota. No chance. Dumba, it's okay. I got to think and hope that Kalen Addison can be productive enough to hopefully fill that role and get better at it during the course of time. I'm praying to God that Kalen Addison can do that. He did not look good in the postseason, but some guys just didn't. Obviously, Vegas is filled with veterans, high IQ players that made us look stupid at times, especially a rookie like Kalen Addison. That's just how that goes, unfortunately. It's just a harsh reality, at the end of the day. It sucks, but what are you going to do about it? Stuck with Studer, there's no question. I don't think he ever leaves Minnesota, unfortunately, if we like it or not. If Bill Guerin can get Parise and Studer to waive their new move clause for Seattle, knowing that Seattle's very unlikely to take them, it'd be great, but I guess you never know. Parise does want to get bought out, but of course, again, you're looking at 8-year cap hit, and the cap hit would be helped this year, but it would increase next year. It'd be worse next year. It would help for this year, and then it would be worse next year, and then similar the next 2 years after that, and then you get a small cap hit, like under $1 million, but for 4 more effing years,
after that because you know how it doubles. That's how the buyout calculator works. Victor Rask, he'd be stuck for 2 years instead of one. At it'd be like 1.7 million, so it'd be cheaper than the 4 million this year. But it'd be like overall cheaper, 1.7 million for 2 years for Victor Rask if we go that direction, buying him out. But the way they talk about him, they're not buying him out. they're just not. At the end of the day, Marco Rossi sounds like he's fully healthy, ready to rock and roll, and he's skating again, and I'm very, very happy about that. Very happy, to say the least. Hovanov, Ivan Ladnia, Damian Giroux, and Connor DeWeer, I think both have a chance to be NHL players very soon because they both were invaluable for Iowa last season. Nick Swaney's on Iowa now, 23 years of age. He's got a little bit of that natural goal-scoring ability, and he was so clutch for Duluth, winning those two national championships and getting to the third national championship game. Matthew Boldy is a borderline shoo-in to get on Minnesota next year. They call him a center, but he's a left winger. I guess he can play center, but he's pretty much been a winger for quite a while now. Adam Beckman, natural goal-scoring left winger who's a decent skater, but is a very good scorer, kind of like some of the prospects they looked at. But he was a third-round pick, so he kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit. At the end of the day, Kalen Addison, we're all excited about that. Ryan O'Rourke, who strengthens that left shot defenseman spot. Actually, Bill Guerin did a damn good job of that. Bill Guerin and Kuru got two left defensemen in the grapevine to kind of help, as that position's drying up a bit, and that made a big help at the end of the day. Ryan O'Rourke, Damon Hunt, both look like pretty good draft picks. And again, Kalen Addison, right shot at the end of the day. We'll see how he develops. Hopefully he makes the Wild next year, and if Matt Dumba's gone, you got to hope he's going to make it, unless Brendan Reynolds somehow, some way comes on board. It'd be freaking cool if Brendan Reynolds makes the NHL and ends up being real good for Minnesota. Possible replacements for Mr. Ian Cole and or Carson Cersei defensively. Well, Alec Martinez, yes. No, that'd be like a miracle, but no, he's going to probably stay in Vegas. He was very valuable for them. It wouldn't be a miracle, but it'd be nice. At the end of the day, Mike Riley, no. He should stay in Boston. He was pretty good there. A nice fit. Tyson Berry, I don't think we'd be able to get him. He's obviously very good. Most of these guys expensive. Alex Goligoski, he's getting old and all that. Oh, boy. I don't know, honest to God. Adam Larson, that figures. Edmonton, Adam Larson's a free agent at 28. Remember that trade? Oh, that did not feel good. And, of course, Greg Pattern of the Sharks. He was traded from Colorado to the Sharks. And, well, not a whole lot to brag about there. Jordy Ben, $2 million a year. I don't know. I think build from within at this point. But, obviously, it would probably be more of a trade. None of these guys really stand out to me. I kind of like Jack Johnson, though, actually. I like Jack Johnson. New York Rangers, only $1.1 million right now for the New York Rangers. Jack Johnson's a name I would possibly consider, but yeah, another veteran guy. Played years ago. Looks like, yeah, he's on a dead cap hit with Pittsburgh. They actually bought him out. That's kind of funny. So maybe not. I'm not really sure what to say at the end of the day. I mean, we're going to lose somebody, but I just say bring Ian Cole back, and maybe even Brad Hunt, and hope for guys to continue to develop in the system. I think we're okay at defensemen right now. You don't want to plunk down a bunch of cash, especially the whole point of trading Dumba away is to free up some of that. So that's kind of the thought process there at the end of the day. With that said, we'll take a quick break and come back with fan interaction. Back here on Brave the Wild, segment number 3 of State of the Wild 2021 fan interaction segment. This will probably be a bit long, which is okay because there's a lot of conversation going on. You got Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final flashing in the background. Tampa Bay up 3-0. Montreal up 1-0 late in the first period, as I believe it's just gone into intermission. So, of course, again, piecing things together as we go. Segment 1.5, we talked about the Cup champion and all that. So that's just how things go there. This is in the future. This is in the past. That's just how things go. The Minnesota Wild have inked Joel Eriksson Ek to an 8-year contract at an APV of 5.25 at the end of the day. $5,250,000 basically for 8 years. Count them, 8 years. That's a lot. So, 8 freaking years. All right. So, that's good, I guess, but it's expensive. No question about it. It's expensive and it's long. The no-move contract clause, kicks in year number 4. He's also going to have a no-move clause a bit. So, it's limited. It's 10 teams, but, still, that can complicate things. Okay, well, there was a lot of debate going on between Mr. Derek Felska and some others out there. Lots of fanboys out there, be it podcasters, bloggers, or just fans in general. Lots of fanboys out there that think the team can do no wrong, or that Joel Eriksson can do no wrong. At the end of the day, he hasn't had that much success yet. He had one good year. Statistically, he would have had about 25 goals, something close to around 45 points or so. At the end of the day, that's good, and he's only 24 years of age, so you're getting him in his good years and all that. He's going up to age 32, if you do the math, of course, with his contract. So this is his big buck contract. This is his max contract. This is his, 8 years and everything. I'm happy for him in a big way. It's kind of high. I didn't think we'd go over 5, but I guess so, because he's such a good defensive player and everything. He is the next Koivu. Now, if we like it or not, he is the next Koivu. When you look at his contract, that's about the same. It's a little less. Yeah, it's slightly less, but just generally speaking, because Koivu was up to about 6. But he's basically the Koivu now. He can't be a top-line center. That's not his role. A lot of people would say he's actually a third-line center. That's a little expensive for a third-line center. He can certainly play second if he can get to the 25-goal range. Sure he can, but will he? Is it just a contract year? That type of thing. In the AHL, he was a point-to-game player, which I've discussed many times. But AHL's AHL. Look at Gerald Mayhew. He looks like, who do you compare him to? Frickin', Jaromir Jagr or something. Maybe not quite that high-end, but way up there at the AHL level. Christian Matt, guys like that. Christian Matt had, what did he average, like 100 points a season back in the day in the AHL and the IHL and stuff like that, the Hershey Bears. That's going back to about 20 years back when the Minnesota Wild were getting started. It is what it is. Obviously, Joel Eriksson Ek, there's more to him than Christian Matt and Gerald Mayhew. I understand that first-round pick and everything, and of course, again, he's a 200-foot player. He's certainly not a top-line center. I think the term could be a little less. I think the average amount. Could be down a little bit, but I don't know. It is what it is. The amount is probably about right, considering he could be a 25-goal guy. It's there. The possibility's there. I think he's competitive enough that he will continue to get better, or at very least be a 25 goals, 25 assists type of guy. He's certainly not a spectacular passer. There's definitely ability there, though, both ways. I think he can be kind of even with the goals and assists. He's not going to have way more than one or the other, whereas this year he did have more goals for some reason. But I think there's more assists to be had, given the particular situations that Joel Eriksson was in. He was the best player in the postseason. He was the best skater for the Minnesota Wild during the Vegas series, and otherwise you'd say Cam Talbot was the MVP during that series. So I'm not majorly against it, this and that. Just the term is a little high. It's a lot. And Derek Felska got a lot of flack for saying something that I just said, basically, that it's a little bit much. A little bit. It's a little bit of a commitment for a guy that hadn't really done anything up until this year. Not a whole lot. He had seasons with 18 points and such, and 65, 70 games. It's not anything like you're going to go absolutely nutsoid over. So it's a lot. Just to be fair, it's a lot. So, you can't get too mad at somebody for saying, maybe raising their hand saying, I don't know. So that kind of gets things going when it comes to the fan interaction segment here. Pardon me, I'm stumbling all over myself just to be a goofball.
I kind of want to bring up his numbers overall. Joel Eriksson Ek obviously drafted 20th overall in the 2015 draft. Yes, seems like everybody was drafted in the 2015 draft. It does. He had a better year the year before, 2019, 2020, 29 points in 62 games, only 8 goals. He had a way more assists that year, so it's kind of weird. Most of his career he's had more assists. Like, the big one that stands out was 17-18, 75 games, only 16 points. It's like, damn, come on, man. And, 14 and 58 games and 18-19. He was in the AHL for a bit, but point a game his entire tenure in the American Hockey League. That's the good part. Even if he played one game, he'd score a goal or something. So he's really, really damn good in the AHL. Could he be a 50-plus guy in the NHL? I think so. But we're kind of banking on he better. He better. At that salary, I think he's got to get 50 points. And, of course, yes, he's fourth in the Selke rating and all that. The Selke Award, if he finished fourth. Fourth is fourth, though. It's not second. It's not first. It's fourth. So don't forget that. Obviously, again, I'm not trying to poo-poo him. I'm not trying to put him down. But it's a lot of term. So just to say that's a lot doesn't make you a non-Wild fan. It doesn't make you a jackass. It doesn't make you ignorant. And those of you out there saying that, maybe you're the ignorant one. I think you need to settle down a little bit. Some of you youngsters out there, settle down, grasshopper, all right? Just settle down a little bit. I'm not trying to be a jerk, okay? Just don't be a jerk either, if you could. That'd be nice. It's not going to kill anybody to have a differing opinion once in a while. Not just saying, oh, Wild suck, they're stupid, they did the same dumb bull crap again. No. This isn't trading for, like, what was his name, Poe or whatever, for a third-round pick. Some forward who couldn't really do anything for a third-round pick, like the Chuck Fletchers and the dumpster Dougs is the world, as again Dark Felska would say, of crease and assist. Crease and assist. He was saying, got a Minnesota Wild or NHL question burning on your mind? Ask Brave the Wild. Just tag your question, hashtag BTWMN, and ask as many questions as you'd like. Please retweet. And they told the people, yep, and thank you guys that did. Brian Herrera. What a great guy, eh? What a great guy. He shouted out to me on the Mackey and Judd show. The Mackey and Judd show, Score North and everything. I'm not sure if they're still on 1500 anymore, but it's like YouTube and podcasting, and I guess for some reason that's become a really big thing in the world. Regular radio, you'd think would be easier to get listeners. I don't know, because I'm not going to whip up YouTube all the time unless it's like Viking Fan Line or Wild Fan Line. Otherwise, I do go the podcasting route very frequently via Google Podcast or Apple Podcasts, of course, and some of those other applications. Whoa, I keep forgetting I have a new touchscreen laptop. Touchscreen. Yeah, they do exist. Isn't that weird? They exist. But Brian Herrera shouted out to Brave the Wild and Joey of Brave the Wild because they asked him, now that you're at this big platform, because he was on, what do they call that? Like the Write That Down segment, which is kind of fun. It's cool on the Mackey and Judd show. Would you like to thank anybody for getting you to this big platform and everything? They kind of BS and joke around. Somebody might say my wife. Somebody might say, my dog. Somebody might say this and that, just to kind of have fun. And then he said, I want to say Joey from Brave the Wild. And I was like, what? Because I know the guy's name was Brian, but it was just Brian. It wasn't Brian Herrera. They just said Brian. I was like, what the hell? My ears just perked out. Like, whoa. From Brave the Wild for mentioning the Judd's hockey show, and that led him to Mackey and Judd and all that. Pretty freaking cool. So thank you, Brian, for that shout out. It is very, very greatly appreciated. You're a great guy. He says, 2 questions. Number 1, what is the expectation for next year's Wild team? Western Conference Finals is mine. I hope so. And you know what? I'd rather hear strong expectations like that versus just, let's get to the second round, one piece at a time, one day at a time, I like that you have higher expectations. And I think we need that more often in this town rather than just, it was a great season. We finished in second place and it is what it is. It was a shitty bounce in Game 7, it's just bad luck. It's just bad puck luck. No, win Game 7 and get to the second round. Sure, get to the conference final. That'd be great. I think that's, I won't call it a realistic expectation, but I think it's good to say go above and beyond, because that would be going above and beyond a little bit, and maybe even a little higher to get to the Cup final, this and that. Why not? Why not us? Why not now? So that's cool. I will say I'm gonna concur with you. Let's go to the Western Conference Finals and hopefully do something even more special. Put it this way, if Montreal can get to the conference final that ended up being the Campbell Conference final, which is what I'll call it. And the Prince of Wales Conference, I guess, was the real Eastern Conference, even though Montreal should be in the East also. But the things were shaped differently because they just were. They just were because they were. What was it? Tampa and the New York Isles. That went all the way to Game 7. Freaking awesome series. Awesome series. Poor Islanders. They might have been Cup champs this year. OT in Game 7. Scoreless. But if Montreal can get to a conference final, beating Toronto and Winnipeg, two teams the Wild don't always play great against. We play good against Winnipeg sometimes, and then we stink against them. Toronto, we usually stink against, though teams like Boston made them look like mincemeat in the playoffs in the past. And then Montreal made them look like mincemeat in the final 3 games of that series. Made them look like fools. If they can do it, why not us? And congratulations, Eric Stahl, for at least getting to the Cup final again. Going to give a requiem or an ode to Blue Jackets goalie Mattis Kivleniks, if I'm saying it correctly, and I do apologize if it's wrong. He died of chest trauma at age 24. Wow, that is a huge shame. So, Mattis Kivleniks, a moment of silence for him. So, that is a crying shame. That really is. Question number 2 from Brian Herrera. He says, if you could live in a video game for a day, what game? Wow, that's an interesting one. I wish I read that before, but I guess that's kind of the fun of radio is when it's on the fly. It feels more like a live show that way. Because now it's, if I could live in a video game for a day, what game? Well, it wouldn't be Jaws, that's for sure. With death rays and jellyfish and Jaws or whatever, the big shark coming after you. Not Mario, probably not Zelda. God dang it, I probably should have thought of something. Final Fantasy IV, I want to be Cecil, man. I want to be Cecil. Yeah. Dangerous and everything, but he's it'd be the coolest thing ever to become a paladin knight. Say, work with others, save the world. You actually go to the moon because the last boss was somebody from the moon, believe it or not. And Cecil ended up being half Lunarian. Final Fantasy IV, known as Final Fantasy II in the U.S., but obviously most gamers know that it is Final Fantasy IV. So Cecil, that would be the character I'd want to be in that game, and because he gets a beautiful wife named Rosa, and just all those amazing adventures they went on, and then ultimately he becomes king of Baron. He becomes king of Baron Castle, which is like you could say it's the most powerful country in the world. It'd be like becoming president of the United States or becoming king maybe, and being a good king, not an evil king, but a good one. It'd be cool, so I'll pick that one. Final Fantasy IV. Cecil or Cecil, however you say it. I guess it's Cecil, like Cecil Fielder. That would be my choice, Brian. Derek Felska, that was in May. See, that's the one thing. It used to do it in chronological order, and it just doesn't seem to want to anymore. Man. I think these... No, that's May. Why would that be? That's a whole month ago. Jay Bushy, welcome back to the show. He says, who are you thinking the Wild will lose in the expansion draft? I guess it's going to be Susie. It could be Dumba. It's probably going to be one of those two, depending on how things go. And great minds think alike. I didn't even mention this. I've been wanting to mention it the last couple of shows. And the last couple of segments as well, but I keep forgetting. Great minds think alike that myself and Michael Russo were saying, hey, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Michael Russo said it after I said it. That doesn't mean he's listening to the show. He probably isn't. Probably not. I think that's 1 in a bajillion, because Russo is, worried about his own career, not necessarily listening to my show. That the possibility of losing Dumba for that $6 million annual value, so to speak, wouldn't be the worst thing ever. It would have been great to get the greatest, simplest thing ever, and it would have been the coolest thing ever. Like, hey, Edmonton needs a defenseman, and we need a center. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for Matt Dumba. Oh, wouldn't that be cool if it was that simple? But I guess possibly him or Carson Soucy. It's not going to be Nick Bukestad. He signed a 1-year, $900,000 contract, like today, at least at this moment. So Nick Bukestad's back. So I'm going to say it's probably one of those two defensemen. There's a small chance it'll be Greenway, but no, others are saying he's going to be protected most likely, and he probably will. He did a good job. Jules Arsenault is absolutely not going to be there, obviously.
after signing that deal. That'd be funny. And I don't think Seattle would claim him at that price. I don't know. That's just me. Just call me a jerk. Call me an anti-Wild, whatever you want to call me. But yeah, it'll probably be one of those two. Most likely, Jay. Thank you. Awesome question always. Derek Felska says, the trade market for number 24 is pretty underwhelming. And of course, that's Matt Dumba. Do you think the return for him is guaranteed to be paltry because the rest of the league knows the Wild are desperate to free up salary and they hope we'll cut our losses and sell at a bargaining rate? I think that's a big problem. Yeah, it's kind of like the whole situation. Remember back in that stupid... Yeah, it's just good timing, isn't it? Just like last time during the Vegas expansion draft when the Wild had to get rid of Pominville and Marco Scandella. We had to dump him. Scandella's like the Dumba this time. Dumba's the Scandella this time, so to speak. So we got rid of those two guys and brought in, was it Tyler Ennis and Marcus Foligno, which ended up being way better than we thought, but he wasn't good right away. A lot of people say actually that trade was the final straw for Chuck Fletcher, generally. But I think it was death by 1,000 cuts, just like Paul Fenton, but it was different types of cuts. It wasn't like alienating, members of the front office and making bad, personnel moves like bringing in Anthony Bottato and, screwing up the whole defensive core for a while there, like the bottom end of it, so to speak. It does kind of reek of that right now, doesn't it, Derek? It's starting to remind me of that. Seattle freaking Kraken. Let's not make a stupid deal again and wind up losing like Matt Boldy or something to the freaking Vegas Golden Knights. Wouldn't that be terrible? Oh, God. And remember the guy I talked about segment number 2 that I would like to target. He played for, was it the OHL's Rangers, just like the New York Rangers. And he had to play overseas because the OHL wasn't active this year. So, because of COVID, oh my God, we can't play at all. Yeah, I just don't know about that. A lot of other leagues did, and they got through it. Oh man, the rest. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, Derek. It is. Bill Guerin is certainly not in the dire straits as Chuck Fletcher was, definitely. But who knows? Maybe the contract by Drew Erjanek might lead to that later on down the road. I'm just kidding. Okay, maybe though. You don't know. We don't know. It might end up being an albatross of a contract. It could be. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough situation there, but it's gonna be tough to get a good return now, and that's a freaking shame. I wish so much maybe we made a move a little bit earlier. I think the Wild should have, but I don't know. Maybe we just weren't comfortable in some of those two young right shot defensemen. Brendan Mennel, we don't know if he'll ever suit up for the Wild, but maybe. And of course, Caitlin Addison wasn't in the system yet. Here we go. Derek again says, if the Wild want to actually shop for a top 6 center, one or more of number 22, Kevin Fiala, Kirill Kaprizov, or Jules Eriksson probably has to be dealt along with Matt Dumba. Which one or two would you cut loose? They can't afford them all if they want to upgrade that position. Which one or two? Well, definitely Dumba. Oh, well, no, you said along with, Dumba. Yes, I agree with that. At this point, it probably is Fiala. And I hate it, but it probably has to be Fiala. Probably. We're not hearing any contract conversation with Fiala. That's the interesting part. You knew they were going to do the best they can to sign him, and they did their best, all right. They did their best to sign him, because Jules Eriksson would have been a fool to not agree to an 8-year, $5.25 million. So Kirill Kaprizov is top priority, but even he might be, according to sources, because I don't want to get people mad and frustrated. I don't want any more Twitter demons out there attacking the person. Let's just say Twitter demons that are a lot younger than me and the other guy. he knows who he is, obviously. That we might even be wanting to shop Kirill Kaprizov if this contract dispute gets a little tougher, because it could be a problem. It could be a huge problem, because if it's going to be a short-term, it's going to wind up being a short-term deal. We could very much end up losing him for nothing, just like we lost Marian Gaborik for absolutely nothing. So that's how it goes. Otherwise, probably Fiala for now, but Kirill Kaprizov could even be on that list. And I'm going to add a soundbite here that let's just say, like me and Derek, back on April 1st, Derek Velska had a show together where we were talking about the situation with the Wild and this and that. Of Kirill Kaprizov's talking about how he wants to be the best player in the world. I would love that, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that's possible because, well, when you listen to the soundbite, you'll be like, huh.
Well, I think we are. I mean, the Minnesota Wild are not going to be a team, at least even with Kirill Kaprizov, we're probably not going to be a team that has one of the leading scorers in the league. You know, I look at the stats too, and I see, a player. I realize it's Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
But he has like 65 points. The top scorer in the Wild has the top scorer in the Wild is 27.
27, yeah.
We don't even look like we're in the same league.
No, no. So yeah, I'm not so sure he's on a fast track to being the best player in the world, but hopefully, I mean, let's just hope he is. But him being Kirill Kaprizov, but you just listen to that, and it's like, oh yeah, I know it was his rookie year, and this and that, but I don't know. It's not easy to become the best player in the world, regardless how you look at it. Whole Game of Dog, hopefully I'm getting this right, shared from Derek Falska, thank you very much. He was kind of tweeting both of us. And yes, I've heard of him, and we're Twitter followers, at Brave the Wild is where it is. Whole Game of Dog says, what are the Wild's chances next year if they lose or trade Talbot? Could they win with Capo as their top netminder? I think they can. Obviously, you want to get a nice veteran backup, and some people are even going as far as to saying re-sign Alex Stalock, possibly. And I was even thinking that could be a direction the Wild go. It's like Stalock and Capo Kakinen are like a platoon type of situation. That could be what happens. Otherwise, and that's the crazy part. That's the one other position the Wild could lose other than defenseman. Could be obviously Talbot or Capo, but there are other goalies out there available that could make things interesting for Seattle, where they wouldn't go in our direction. I think Capo Kakinen is capable of being a good netminder for the Minnesota Wild. I'm just not sure how great, unfortunately. Looks like I have to go to the notifications. For some reason, people either aren't using the hashtag BGW, or it just seems to go this other direction for some reason. So I'm going to try to have to backtrack a bit, if that's okay. Be patient with me here as we go back to the... Yep, and thank you, Justin Bakke, for retweeting as well about the question. I wish he asked something, though. Justin Bakke of the Sound of Longhorn podcast and of MNW Prospects. Really, really appreciate that in a big way. That's weird. Oh, I didn't type... Did I type it in? It was there. Let's just go this route. Probably safer for now, and that does stay in chronological order. That's the good part. Let's see, where did he go now? I had him. Derek Felska and some others. Yes, okay, let's just go with Brian Herrera for the moment. Brian Herrera was saying, yes, that was me about the Mackey and Judd. He was saying, you let your fans know how much you appreciate us, and I really do. I do, and I appreciate that. You deserve it for making the best Wild podcast out there. Thank you so much for saying that. He says, and yeah, I wouldn't have found them if you didn't shout out to Judd, so only fair to let them know who sent me. And cool, thank you. And yeah, that is nice. And even they said they appreciate it, especially Judd. Judd's probably a little nicer guy than Mackey, but I don't hate Mackey or anything. He comes off a little differently than Judd. That's just the way I see it. Let's just say I'm Gen X and Mackey's millennial, and we see the world a little bit differently. Mackey's like an old millennial, and I'm like a young X, and then Judd's an old X. Yeah, okay, sorry. If I don't get off it, I'm going to be the best Wild podcast out there. X, right? Brian Herrera says, you might want to check out Mackey. Oh, okay, yeah, the Mackey and Judd podcast on YouTube today for the Write That Down segment, and that was why. Wasn't that cool? Wasn't that cool? Thank you again, Brian Herrera. So some of you out there that maybe listen to the show that happen to listen to that show as well, that was Brian Herrera. Freaking cool. Derek Filska. Okay, this was like in the middle game stuff, some kind of tweets back and forth. I get to some of that, but it's okay. Most of it's not really Wild related. Some of it is. Some of this is. What was the conversation here? I want to get to this one right now. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get to this because it's related to that trade market for number 24 deal that Derek asked. Tom Larson, welcome aboard. You most recently followed the Twitter, and I followed back. Thank you, and welcome aboard, Tom Larson, in case you're listening.
Tom Larson was saying that's a damn good point about the possibility about being desperate. If we can't find a buyer now, his price may drop later, or Wild can't get somebody to offer what they want in return. Derek sells. If everyone knows you're selling, I don't think teams are going to give the Wild any lifeboats or gifts gifts of an offer. It's like putting out an ad in the paper and saying you have something to sell because you're moving. It means you will take less than value to move it. Yes, exactly. Like I'm moving, I want to get, I don't need this car or bicycle or something. And we're like, sweet, they're selling a mountain bike? Okay, let's go get that. I wish that would happen like now. I'd love to have a new mountain bike. Please. I don't have to do that for the laptop anymore. Not that now. Tom Larson says, there might be something to be said about Dumba if no one wants him, if you catch my drift. Interesting. So we'll move forward if humanly possible. So that's still the same conversation. But it's good that it got organized that way. Tom Larson was saying Minnesota Wild prospect Pavel Nova with a prospect report on Pavel Novak. Yes, thank you for that. Check that out there, guys. My dog. Looks like, I already read that one. I gotta go back. Thought I clicked like, but now I did. Woohoo. Who do you think the Wild are losing? That's Jay Bush. I read that one. Thank you for that. Now it's kind of repeating, but that's okay. Here we go. Derek says, does the Minnesota Wild blue line lack the size and strength necessary for the playoffs like Montreal's bigger defensive course proved against Vegas? I think so. I think so. That's where a guy like Ian Cole is valuable to keep. A guy like Carson Soucy, 6'5". Those guys are valuable. Very, very valuable. Lack of size is a problem. I think if you can get somebody larger in for Dumba, that'd be nice. But the problem is Kalen Anderson's not real big. Brendan Menell's not really big. Brodin's not super big either. Obviously, he's a taller guy, but he's lighter. Oh, boy. I think we're kind of stuck. Yeah, I think we're kind of stuck there. Obviously, eventually Suter, Eventually Suter will be gone, but probably not for a while. It is what it is right there. It kind of is what it is. Like Spurgeon's inked forever. Brodin's inked forever. We're banking on Kalen Anderson and or Brendan Menell. Guys like that. Dumba's not the biggest guy. He's got the big drive, but he's not the biggest guy. That kind of thing. So, wow. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a damn good point, as Tom Larson might say. Ian Cole and Carson Soucy, hopefully we can keep both of them, but maybe we can't. Maybe we can't for either reason. Bonino and Ian Cole still free agents at the moment. By the way, Derek Velska says, well, of course, and they should be, but we'll move on. But I suppose you can re-sign your free agent first before the free agency opens, but yeah, it kind of is what it is. Derek Velska says, got a Minnesota Wild or NHL question burning on your mind? Yep, thank you for that one. Okay, yep, I was saying I can't believe it. Montreal all the way to the Cup final. Eric Stahl must be stunned. Ray Pruban says, I'm very happy for him. Wild made a mistake trading him. And I don't majorly disagree with that. We made a bit of, I don't majorly disagree, but I don't completely agree either. It's like they kind of needed to free up space to get things going, give guys time. That's how Jule Eriksson got a chance to really do something here, I suppose. We could have maybe saved some money, though. That's the other thing. Instead of having to ink him for a huge contract. Here's another one. Oh, yeah, Declan Goff talked about this on the Judd's Hockey Show. Declan Goff, he's the other one there. He's good, really good guy. I was saying I would do his Dumba for Courtier from Philadelphia deal in a heartbeat. He was thinking about that as a possible straight-up trade with the money and everything. Baker Wheeler 1 says, Flyers would never, but I'm afraid Fletcher may overvalue Dumba based off his time as Minnesota's general manager when Dumba was a stud young player before his injuries. Pardon me. That's a possibility. The hope is you can get Chuck Fletcher to give in something like that. That would be kind of funny, but never know. Never know. Kirill Kaprizov rumors. Yep, Declan Goff tweeted like kind of a gif there. I like that. Tom Larson says, absolutely, definitely one of my all-time favorites. What were we saying there? Legend, yep. They're talking about Derek Brugard, yep. Talking about Derek Brugard, it was his birthday. Yeah, yep, definitely sad as heck story there. As we continue to move forward. Could that be it already? It can't be. I thought there was Tom Hayen. I know he was in here. So I may have to search a little bit because, yeah, this is kind of strange. I know Tom Hayen was in here because Derek even mentioned it. Me and Derek were talking about the Sega CD a little bit. Lunar the Silver Star. Not the Silver Star story complete for PlayStation 1. A lot of you have probably heard of that. Silver Star, without the story complete part for Sega CD, was a bajillion times better. It's not an opinion, by the way. It's not. Way better. Not even close. Don't ask me about, don't come to me and tell me the PlayStation version was better. Maybe it ran better. That's about it. The audio was a billion times better on Sega CD. The music quality, the gameplay, everything. They just messed around with it. So, yeah. State of Hobby was saying it'll be interesting to see what happens. Playing in a real division, ramp up time for rookies, goaltending regression. If Billy G doesn't add another center for his top 6 via trade, could finish 2nd or 7th in division. Neither would shock me. Because what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. I was saying how it's kind of cool how I was basically saying how it's pretty cool how the Wild... I was saying how it's pretty cool how the Wild really took Vegas all the way to the 7th game, even though we got past the Avalanche. And Ray Pruban was saying it's weird the Wild would not have beat the Avs. I agree with that. It's true. State of Hoppies was saying it doesn't hurt that the Vegas played without their leading scorer. That was Pacioretty. I agree. And Tom Hayen said, evens out, though, considering the Minnesota Wild played the Silver Bishops without an NHL caliber second or third. Without a second or a third line center, or a first or second line center, pardon me. And then Hoppy said, haha, not sure how that works, but I like the way you think. And he wasn't talking to me, he was talking to Tom. Tom was saying, as ugly as the team was at times this season, I'm not sure many fans realize how dangerous they will be next year with the infusion of Rossi, Boldy, etc. Considering lineup deficiencies this season, the team finished 8th overall in the league. That is borderline silly. And the State of Hoppy was saying, oh yeah, it'll be interesting because we'll be back in a much tougher division. So, yeah. Can't deny that. Can't deny that. I swear there was a Tom Hayen situation here. I was saying next season does look extremely promising. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out this summer. Can't wait. Tom Hayen was saying, we'll move Dumba, no doubt. Addison will be a permanent fixture, as will Rossi and Boldy. Guessing Bill Guerin uses his draft capital to move up in round 1 and grab the best center he could get. Back to normal schedule next year. The team's depth will really show. Could be damn cool if things head that direction. Looks like I got a message. Me and Derek were talking off the bike quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun, of course. We can really go back and forth in a good way. Not fighting, just a lot of information back and forth, and this and that. And yep, good guy, obviously. Yep, and State of Hoppy was kind of reminding me, hey, yeah, the Wild took Vegas deep, but Max Pacioretty didn't even play till Game 7. True. There was a Tom Hayen thing. Let's see if I can get it here. PTWMN. This was a back a bit, yeah, and then it's obviously out of order, which is a bummer. Some of these go all the way back over a year, but hopefully, and I missed some of you, like Dave Johnson and such, that haven't been around lately. It's a damn bummer. Hope you guys come back. Because I know a lot, yeah, some of these were on the recent show, not this one, of course. Yeah, I miss Dave Johnson. That was like a year ago. I haven't heard from him in forever. Just want to make absolute sure, because I don't want to miss anybody's conversation here, because I feel like a jerk if I pass up on someone that had a good conversation. But I'm not seeing the Tom Hayen lightning rod. I thought there was one. Derek was saying there was, and I thought I saw it, unless it was for the last show. I don't know. Probably not going to be able to find it, unfortunately. Oh, I think it might have been in there. Maybe he was seeing it from before. That could be. Let's see if I can press this again. Maybe there was a response. Damn it. This thing does not seem to want to do what I want it to do, unfortunately. My God. That is a bummer. Super bummer. At the end of the day. All right, now I got things. I'm an idiot. All I did was press the button on latest. That's kind of funny, right here on the fly here. I apologize. And there's Tom Hayen. The Silver Bishops, yep, that is the Vegas Golden Knights minor league affiliate, Henderson, Nevada. The Silver Bishops losing in the playoffs to a team that went 24-32 in the regular season. Does it get any better than that? It's kind of like the North Stars and Edmonton Oilers, isn't it? Yep, pretty much. Pretty much, thank you, Tom, for that. It is kind of funny. It is funny. The Silver Bishops lost to Montreal. Yep, but the defending champions probably won't, as Lightning strikes twice. Yeah. Segment 1.5, obviously. Tom Hayen Lightning Round. I love it. The Lightning Round, as has been heard on other shows and other things. Tom Hayen says, considering the team can't keep Dumba on the roster and doesn't want to lose him in the expansion draft to the Squid, will Bill Guerin package him and a pick or two before the draft to grab the best available center? He's going to try to do the best he can to make the team better, as he says. The most boring cliche there, I guess you could say. Oh, man. It wouldn't be the worst, though, because you give up the, yes, you lose him, but you also, dissolve the $6 million cap space. You also dissolve that and get $6 million in cap space added to help sign Kevin Fiala, possibly. So you might be able to keep Fiala that way if Seattle takes Dumba. Some people even go as far as to say Seattle wouldn't take Dumba. Interesting. It's possible that could go that direction too, which is the darndest thing. I'm almost leaning that way. Obviously, if the Wild can get something, that'd be great. I don't think we're in a huge hurry to deal away a lot of draft picks. Probably, possibly one. I don't think 2 picks. Obviously, that best center available when it comes to multiple picks is Jack Eichel. I think they want too much. I think the Jack Eichel dream is kind of out the window because, like, the ship has sailed, so to speak. Too expensive. But I guess anything could happen. Lightning round continues. Tom Hayen, and now I know what I'm doing. Just freaking press latest. It's right there. Fire me right now. Tom Hayen, at least finally I know what to, because I remember before it used to be in chronological order. That's how it should be. Tom Hayen says there are reports that Rossi and Boldy would need to be included in a trade for Eichel, along with other assets. If Bill Guerin were to do this, would it be considered dumber than pissing into a working electrical outlet? Yeah, because I think Rossi has a chance to be an outstanding center in the league. Maybe not dominant like Eichel could be, but he's also got a possible neck injury situation. Obviously, well, he does, but I mean, and will it have lasting effects? Montreal still up 1-0. Interesting, man. Things getting very nasty in the game. More than halfway through, 1-0 Montreal. Maybe they'll stay alive, at least for another night. Rossi and Boldy, and it would be like other picks, probably, and Dumbo would be thrown in as well, probably, just to match the money. And then you got to ink him to $10 million plus, or not ink him, or on the books. He's on the books for $10 million plus. See, it's like not only that, but the money is a big thing. And Edmonton's got too much money tied into 2 guys. Obviously, they're very top heavy. They're very good at the top, but they have nothing else at all. They don't have a defenseman. They don't even have a goalie. Really, Mike Smith's okay, but he's a stopgap and he's ancient. Yeah, I didn't click like on this. I didn't see him. Stupid Joey for not pressing the latest button. Rossi could still end up being fantastic. Boldy could end up being really good. Some people think he's more of like a, just a really good second line type of a guy with some power. Like he's not a star. Maybe he is. Boldy, I think there's something more than just kind of just a powerful guy who can score a little bit. He might end up being a damn good player still. And Rossi better be, because, my God, in the OHL, yes, it's the OHL, but he looked, out of all the other guys, my jaw dropped when I watched Marco Rossi. Just like Pinelli this year. My jaw dropped. Absolutely dropped. Like, there's something here. So, I hope I'm right about Rossi. They seem to think I was. Okay, I'm just kidding. Even though they don't know me, they seem to be thinking similarly to me. And Eichel, he's had good moments. He's had not good moments. Obviously, there's talent, but I don't know. Let's get to Tom again. He says, please, for the love of Clint Malarchuk, that probably sounds better, will the league take a harder look at the officiating this offseason? I hope so, because it's been frustrating as hell, and a lot of people have been complaining about it, so I wouldn't want to have to be their officials right now. They're under hot lights right now. They're going to be under hot lights, no doubt about that. As we move forward, Brian Herrera read that one, read Eric's there, and the blue line from there. Tom Hayen, a new one, says, Wagon circling commences in 4 months with Boldy, Ross, Edison, etc. on the full-time roster, and I can't wait. I can't wait. That's going to be awesome. Can't wait at all. Derek was saying, listening to Brave the Wild as Paladinolive wraps up the 2021 Wild season, this and that. As I was wrapping up the season in that sense, now I'm doing the major wrap-up in this episode, and Brian Herrera shared it multiple times. Thank you, Brian. You're awesome. And I think we're caught up now. That's where that wonderful latest button. Save the day. Thank you, Lord, for latest. Latest. That's the best way to do it. Thank you. With that said, can't thank you guys enough for your interaction. I should have tweeted out something about the biggest disappointment, biggest surprise, and and MVP, but I think it would have been almost all the same. Obviously, MVP would have been Kirill. Biggest disappointment, probably like a Marcus Johansson, most likely him. Maybe some Dumbas in there, this and that. Maybe some other odd ones like not playing Kakkonen enough, something like that. Who knows? Maybe some people might have even turned on the coach in the postseason for being kind of stubborn with the lineups and the power play type lineups, power play and penalty kill, stuff like that can get damn frustrating after a while. So that's part of the game, and it's part of the frustration of it all. So I just can't thank you guys enough for your interaction. Please tell your friends about the show. Thanks again, Brian. You are the best. And anybody else out there that hasn't that loves the show, that hasn't interacted with me yet, come say hi. I don't bite. Come say hi on Twitter, Facebook, this and that. Twitter especially, though, at Brave the Wild, would be greatly appreciated. Major shout-outs to MNW Prospects. I work with them, but didn't really much this year because the junior leagues I cover, the Wild didn't have any prospects in those leagues this year. So that's just kind of how that goes. Like Hovey went off to the KHL and MHL. Rossi didn't play at all. Of course, I don't think he was going to play in the Q or the British Columbia Hockey League or anything. Nesterenko went to college. This and that. The other guy went to the AHL. That was in the Q before. So that's just kind of how that goes. Nesterenko was the only Minnesota Wild prospect in the British Columbia Hockey League. And he went to college and had a pretty damn good season in college. So looking forward to what he does in a big way. Can't wait to see his production. Nikita Nesterenko, Russian name, but a New Yorker, playing at Boston College. So it's going to be interesting to see how his career progresses. Love MNW prospects. Pavel Bennett, Marek Skybuff, he still does it. They're both from the Czech Republic, but Pavel Bennett obviously is the main guy, the top dog, so to speak. Justin Pocky, Brandon Quast, awesome guys who are also very good writers. Minnesota Wild Wilderness is where Brandon Quast writes. He also writes for Gone Puck Wild a little bit. I write for Gone Puck Wild, but I've been missing in action of late. Just always freaking busy. Lake Martin, what an awesome guy. I guess he's no longer going to be the site expert. He's kind of moved passed it on to someone else. Lake Martin, just in case you're listening, you're a great guy. I really appreciated everything. Obviously, very busy guy, looking to get into other career avenues, this and that. So it is what it is, It is what it is, but what an awesome guy he is. Obviously, great writer and did a great job as the site expert for Gone Puck Wild. Really appreciate him. Just in case he's listening, major shout-outs to Minnesota Wild Global on Facebook, Minnesota Wild Nation, also on Facebook, Patrick Turner for that one. Otherwise, on Minnesota Wild Global, David Kostick, Chance Kostick, Kathy Main, Chad Walski. Of course, Scott Cavendish is the founder and a great guy also. David Abraham, Michael Fick, awesome hockey community. Of course, Derek Velska, at Crease and Assist. Obviously, that is the Twitter account. And, of course, the blog is Crease and Assist for the Sports Daily. Just Google it and keep up with the Wild forever. Him and his wife. His wife usually writes the game previews. Derek writes the reviews and, of course, other articles Minnesota Wild related. Just does an unbelievable job. He's an inspiration. And he's a great guest on podcasts like this one and others out there. He's just been fantastic. His hockey knowledge is insane. I really enjoyed listening back to that episode this weekend when I was out doing cutting grass. Or actually today, pardon me, during today in the morning, out cutting grass. It was so worth it at the end of the day. So hopefully the Minnesota Wild can continue heading in the right direction. We'll just have to keep discussing things as we move forward, as this summer could get damn interesting. The next episode will be the draft and free agency 2021. Can't wait to see what we got to say on that one. Until next time, take care and God bless.